cooked? No. Um. Annie.
Good morning, Samoa, and welcome back to Doctor Who, Season 1, Episode 5, Dot and Bubble, or otherwise known as the episode where we learn how well I've curated my comment section. Which, as you can hear, once again, I am joined by my brother Caden.
Hello.
Yeah, actually, this is the Doctor Who audience, so there's not a lot of carryover from Star Trek. This chat is very uncurated. But it's also 3 p.m. Pacific on a Sunday. Like, no one's gonna watch this.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, no one's gonna watch this. Dot and Bubble. I thought there was something else I was gonna say before we got into it. Oh well, who knows? So what do you? Oh yeah, no, I remember. Is that I have to say this episode, the fact that the Doctor in this thumbnail is me, like as it always is, and therefore white feels a little bit weird on this one. I'm gonna admit, feels a little bit weird. In case that's never clear, that's always been me and my thumbnails. Hello, Thomas Pap. It's always me basically doing an infinite budget cosplay, and that's why it also looks nothing like Shooty Gadwa. Caden, anything you want to say? Oh, wait. Okay, you can do that. I forgot to actually put the thing on stream. Say your stuff.
This episode,
Okay.
I have a love-hate relationship with it, I think.
See, I was. We'll get in. I was interested in it. You want to say any opening thoughts?
I think it got better as it kept going. And but I don't know if it ever won me, and I don't know what to rate this one. I feel like you last time.
I think this episode got worse as it went on.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting. I'll just hit the same point where it swapped. No, Dot and Bubble. My wife and I both like this. I can say right now this was an 8.5 from Alex. We'll get into that's tied with Devil Cord for the best, but Alex did give Church a 9. But we'll get into the ratings later. No, this one was very obvious in its messaging. I mean, literally from the third word, which was bubble, I paused, looked at Alex, and went, this is going to be a commentary about the social bubble and social media, isn't it? Like, which isn't inherently bad, right? Like, this is not subtle.
No.
Right? The only thing subtle about this episode is the racism buildup. Like, everything else is right out there. But that's all right. I was impressed, especially early on. I've been nervously said to Alex, I don't want to jinx things, but this was a commentary about, like, social media and tangentially kind of phones, a lot of the young people, kids these days sort of things, that really avoided feeling like just a kids these days rant. It fell short in a few places for me where it kind of did get into kids these days, and we'll get into that. But like especially written. I mean, I suppose I might be countering a stereotype with a different stereotype here, especially written by an older man. It does a great job of not being kids these days. In fact, the only reference to like kids is that everyone in Fairhaven is 17 to 27, which is something I don't like for the exact reason that it brings kids these days into it. But other than that, like the only reason you might think this is about the youth of today is because the youth of today are associated with social media. Speaking of which, are we the villain of this week's episode? Right? Is that what we're... Are we the villain? Yeah. Oh, well, we're the thematic villain. At least we're not racism, though. Like, you know, that's a
Yeah,
win.
that's good. We're got
not
that.
the worst villain. Yeah, that's mostly at the end. Do we want to do a lot? Okay, here's a question, though. Do you know why I'm talking about racism so much? Because I was curious.
Me?
Yes.
Because, I mean, they get a little...
Just a little?
Racist at the end?
Just a little, yeah. I had this discussion with Alex. I've mentioned before, we don't have a great sound system, and the dogs chose the last 10 minutes to argue over a chew toy between us and the sofa. And so I actually didn't clock that at the end they were being racist, what they definitely were. And Alex pointed out a lot of the times previously where there was hinted at. I'm like, no, yeah, you're right. I think we'll save most of that discussion to the end. Well, actually, it's weird because, right, I watched this again, and it's even more set up than, like, you might have thought on a first watch through. But I didn't feel the need to take a lot of notes, so I have 15 notes about this episode, right? But I also have a section titled Racism Before the Reveal, which I was just going to write down a note of any time, like, the fact that the colony is super racist was foreshadowed. And I have 17 notes, meaning I have more instances. I have literally fewer notes on this episode than there are, like, potentially racist events in this episode. Because to be fair, some of them you could say, well, it might be this other thing. But, you know, not a lot of them. I think we should let's stick generally before we do the scene by scene. Do you kind of want to talk generally, like what were the parts you liked and why did the episode start losing you?
It started losing me because I agree immediately. I was aware it was a commentary and it wasn't subtle, and it just the blatantness of me knowing that I'm like being told something about something that's like an opinion piece loses me automatically a little bit. And I needed to, like, wait for the story to get interesting enough to get past the fact that it's obviously poking fun at some things.
Fair.
Which it has the right to poke fun at. And I did, once everything felt like it was moving at a good pace, I was totally fine with it. But at the beginning, when it's all that was there, I was just kind of like, eh.
I mean, to be clear, it definitely goes into satire at moments. Like, you literally cannot walk without the bubble. There's some decent satire, but it's not just poking fun. Like, it's absolutely social commentary, and it's like it's taking. And there are, of course, sci-fi generally. Doctor Who has a lot of great episodes where you take some issue of the time. Like, you know, social media does have a lot of problems, and humanity's quite not realized how to integrate it into society. It takes that, and it takes it to the comical extreme. And it then uses it as sort of a warning and like to kind of highlight, which it does amazingly. Most of my notes are amazing little ways they fit in the harm of the social bubble, which actually not everyone might know what I mean by that. We should define. The social bubble is probably what I'll call it. I think generally it's the bubble. It's probably got other terms. Is the idea... largely linked to social media because it's made the issue more prevalent, but it technically it doesn't. You don't need social media. Is the idea that humans generally kind of like to clump to similar groups. I mean, like Doctor Who fans will clump together around their like of Doctor Who. Sports fans around the team they like. People in one country just generally living in like the same geographic area. I mean, one smaller than the U.S. generally, but you know, is you know, they kind of clump together to similar things. And so if you take that to the extreme, for example, like social media and more generally the internet has made it much more easier to find those like-minded groups. And if it's like Doctor Who, that's fine, really. It's like you can get together and talk about Doctor Who. But if that's like my views on gun rights, if you get into political things, you get the, like-minded people clumping together. And if you're a card-carrying member of the NRA, you're probably on like some Facebook group or whatever with like a bunch of other people. And then people have like even slightly more moderate views of gun control or whatever. They're not really going to join your group, or like they're going to be put off. And so over time, you get these clumpings of like-minded people, and then these groups will get more and more extreme and filtered down. And this is a real issue. This isn't theory. This happens. And that's what this is saying. Okay, let's continue this for like ages to the extreme, to the point where like social media literally controls everything we do, even like having to ask Twitter if you have to pee. I saw a great thing. It was one of those, the guy who's like, but then the bottom frame he's giving a thumbs up. That was like, dead naming somebody is like, it's dead naming Twitter. Yeah. Let's all we're down for that.
That's funny.
But
yeah, it's Twitter.
Yeah. It's kind of nice though, because technically Twitter exists, but also it's just everyone knows what you mean by Twitter, but you're not picking on any one particular social media because Twitter doesn't exist. And it's also the fastest to say, Yeah, did you notice how when I was talking about hypothetical group of NRA people, it was Facebook?
That's funny. Yeah.
I noticed, I didn't call it at the time, but there's an example of social bubble and stereotyping in action, is that old people use Facebook, and like old people like guns,
Yeah.
But yeah, for me, I like this. I liked a lot. We'll get into my notes when we do the scene by scene, but it did a great job of showing that extreme and not telling you, unlike, the 13th. No, we're done with Chibnall hate. We're going to slide that one away. How about this? Unlike the 13 Doctor episodes that were bad and Chris Chibnall didn't write. No, it's not. It never tells you what the episode is about. I mean, it's quite clear. It never even really tells you that these things are good or bad. And it never even really has, like, someone come up and say, oh, you're closed-minded, right? You're not letting anyone in because you're safe in your little bubble. It never says that, but it shows it amazingly. I mean, true. Just take little one. It's my first note. Lindy, is it? Lindy, yeah.
I think Peppercorn.
In the scene, where Ruby comes on for the first time, right? She's generally just really condescending, and when Ruby asks questions like, where are you? Which, to be fair, as like what she's claiming to be someone who works on the system, could probably get the location of the dot and know. But it's not like a totally unreasonable request, even though everyone knows, like, everyone works, not like people work in different places. She's like, you're an idiot. Or like literally every one of the questions is like, how stupid are you? And even if it is like a stupid question, like if someone walked up to me in the street and like tried to get me to explain the concept of like having a job or, something that's like what is a car? I'm like, what, how did you get to this point without knowing? But she is condescending, but it's still those things of everyone who doesn't know something is an idiot. It's the toxicity of like any sort of fandom or social media or view, and that's the really bad aspects. Those are the problems of the social media and the social bubble that this is critiquing. This episode never even says the social bubble is bad inherently. And I think that's good. Is more generally, it never says phones are bad, get off your phone. it never says go and like touch grass, like social media is bad, because or get off your phone is an annoying one, because there's kind of the critique of like kids these days are always on their phone. It's like, yes, because not we, you, the generation above us, put everything on a phone. My phone is not only how I can contact anyone in emergency, it's how everybody contacts me, also including an emergency. It's how I do my banking. It's how I navigate. Like, you just had all this as other items, and now it's one moment.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not get off your phone. That's like kids these days bring their phone everywhere. It's like, yeah, just like you would bring your map everywhere you need to drive, and you would bring your checkbook everywhere you need to buy. Now you pay on your phone now.
Yeah.
Like, it's your wallet. It'd be like saying, Dad brings his wallet everywhere. Come on, Grandpa. It's like, well, yeah. But this episode never does that. As I said, we kind of lean into a bit. People ages 17 to 27, you really didn't need to do that.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, yes, you have if we lean into stereotypes, which are obviously problematic, but they come from somewhere. There's the stereotype of the young people on their phone every day, like I just described.
Yeah.
But there's also the stereotype of, like, the crazy grandparent who spits out all the conspiracy theories. And, like, that is the person who posts, like, anti-vax stuff or, like, Trump won stuff, is, like, the older people. That's the stereotype.
Yeah.
And obviously both are wrong, or at least oversimplifications without context. But it's not just a young people problem, the social bubble. It applies to everyone. In the Slug Things 8 Homeworld, which had older people, but why even have the mention that it's young people? This is probably my biggest thematic criticism of the episode, is that it randomly targeted at young people for this one moment. And I can't think of another plot reason why it had to be kids. Actually, you know what? The fact that they go off into the wilderness on their own, it makes it much less likely they'd survive, because they're all inexperienced rich kids who are definitely going to die out there. I still would argue that, like, you know, snobby, racist, rich adults would also have no clue how to build a society out of some tents. But I guess that's the purpose, if you want to be, like, you know, kind of nice about it. But yeah. And then that was kind of where it lost me, is the other thing. It's been said a lot about Russell T. Davies, who of course did Doctor Who before, that fantastic character writer. When he does the character writing, that's why he shines. That's why Doctor Who got so big. When it comes to plots, there's a lot to be desired. There's a lot of things, if you just kind of start thinking about it, really don't make sense. But because he's so good at that character writing, you can forgive it. And you can be like, you know what? This was still a good episode. Welcome to Dot and Bubble. Do we want to do a rapid fire now, or do we want to do this scene by scene? Because there's a lot that doesn't really make sense about the plot of this episode.
I think you're probably going to... My view might change by the end of this, but I think for me, the characters were my problem, and I was fine with the plot. It was tricky. I mean, I guess it's that...
So I'm about to ruin this episode for you.
Our main character does good as a character, but the character that is being portrayed, I hate so much.
Well, that's still good character writing.
And it is a good character.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But it's like the first half of the episode is a drag because of how much I don't care for this character.
See, it's interesting.
It would be a great character if it wasn't our point of view character to me.
Even knowing she's a racist douchebag, she doesn't really get too annoying until the latter half for me. I felt generally she's good at not just being like a very stereotypical on-your-phone teen, while still fulfilling the purpose that the narrative needs her to, the theme is, of someone who is like totally in their bubble, independent on, because like, you need the character to basically be an annoying stereotypical teen.
Yeah.
But at least at the beginning, especially, I felt they did a good job avoiding it. So we're really on opposites here. Watch us give the exact same score. Why that'll be hilarious. But no, she is definitely and like the only kind of a moment she's annoying at the beginning for me are when she's showing the problems with the social bubble, like calling Ruby an idiot because she doesn't know anything.
Yeah.
Well, that she doesn't know specifically what she knows. And that's something that, yeah, if you're like that, don't be like that. I don't know what to, like, there's always a reason somebody doesn't know something. Even if it's a super seemingly obvious thing, like why. Yeah. I knew someone online I'd encountered who didn't know that, like, something like 11 was before 12. I can't remember if they thought it didn't exist or like 12 and 11 were swapped, which is they were an adult, which sounds crazy. Like, how do you get to this point in your life not knowing about 11? But then they had some sort of medical brain condition, I don't remember what. And it's like, well, yeah. Now, if you're suddenly the, oh my god, how stupid are you? Or even you sitting in your chair, if you were like, what the hell? Even with the build-up that I was about, this was clearly going to be a reason, then, yeah, you're now the asshole.
Yeah.
Don't be like this. I think we should probably do the scene by scene, get some traction in this.
Yeah.
Again, I mean, my notes are going to go really, really quickly. In fact, my first note literally isn't until she's in her office.
Working up towards there consistently throughout this episode, thematically, visually, everything from costumes to set, all of it was like really good. Everything was working in tangent with each other.
I even meant to notice, this could just be the minimalist style, but there's no art on their walls. Because why would there be? They always look at their bubble. I guess there's a window, but that lets light in. I don't know which detail that is. Another thing someone pointed out, there's something weird about her eyes. And I don't think it's consistent. It might be the reflection of the bubble. But a lot of people think her pupils are square. As sort of a commentary of essentially, they look at the idea that they look at these like bubbles so long, like all day, every day, is literally changing the shape of their eye to fit the screen. You can't really see it here. I think there's a good one somewhere where the reflection of the bubble, there is a square, not really in this thing, about the size of her pupil. And so it really makes her pupil look square. But, like, she glances to the side and the square changes. That might be it, but there is something about her pupils. And, God, the CGI on all that. Like, the reflections every time. But I'm going to skip a little bit ahead in our scene by scene, because I just want to highlight this background here, right? Where there are currently 2 people offline. I love, and on the rewatch, they do this slowly over the episode, how the background characters that you notice at first and you notice people are offline and you kind of stop paying attention to them, very slowly more and more of them go gray over the course of the day before the reveal. And I noticed this like 30 seconds before the characters brought it up, and I went, oh my god, Alex, I've noticed a detail. And it's I love this. It's like an epistemically horrifying thing. What I want to compare it to, I'm going to put the thumbnail up because I'm about to talk spoilers for something else. Are you aware of the game Outer Wilds?
Yes, but if you're going to spoiler territory, I don't want to hear. I haven't played it yet.
What about, do you know, like, the core kind of thing of the game?
I don't know anything about Outer Wilds.
What about something in the first 20 minutes? You want to go, like, get a drink or something? Like, take
I will. I'm at a tea. I'll let you take a second.
Right. So,
I'll be
Outer Wilds is a space game. You're in a solar system, right? You start on this planet. You're like part of your planet's space program, and you can go. It's a fantastic exploration game that is best if you know nothing about it. And I'm gonna be talking spoilers until I bring the thumbnail off the screen. But so you go out, like you literally know nothing. You go out into the solar system and you explore around, and it's quite a vibrant space, like the background for space. You know, a bunch of stars. There's some cool ones that are kind of like radial patterns, and you're flying around for like a good while once you leave your planet. And then at some point, you're gonna be on a planet or a moon or in space, and you're gonna look up and go, "This space looks a little different than I remember it looking." Right? It looks a little different. By the way, these spoilers are for the first like 22 minutes of the game. Yes, oddly specific number, but if you stare at the space, you know, it might take you a while to notice, but you'll be looking at one of the stars, like in the space, and you'll see it go. You'll see it burst out into one of those beautiful radial patterns I mentioned earlier that you've seen around. You'll go, hang on, did I just watch that? And you'll feel more, and you'll see another one. And because you'll have a moment where you go, oh, the stars are blowing up. And the game does this, the same thing. It slowly speeds it up over time, over the course of the first 22 minutes that you leave the planet, where you realize that and it never tells you, it never brings attention to this fact. But at some point, you will realize that the stars are going out. And it's just an existentially terrifying thing to realize. I doubt it's the first thing to do it. There have been others. Heck, one of the War Master things I heard about the Time War did a similar thing, where this planet is just watching the stars go out as the Time War gets closer. And, like, they don't know what the heck is going on. They don't know about the Time War. They're just freaking out. And the resolution, because, you know, as they more go out, you're orbiting a star. And, like, that one's still there. And the whole core purpose of the game is after 22 minutes, your sun explodes. It's the last one in the universe to go, and the game is a time loop where you basically have to figure out what is happening, and like, hey, how do we stop this? That's the premise of the game. But it's that same existential. It's just such a good one when you can pull someone's rug and not get it in the, you know, in the moment. Yeah, I'm not spoiler territory. It's the sort of concept of the lights going out that's terrifying. Doctor Who did it with Turn Left, where like Donna's on the hill with her grandfather and they're watching the stars, and then like they just pop, like very quickly the stars go out and they're just gone. And it's the same thing, but I mean, it's their friends, not the stars, but you because you know people are disappearing, you know they're being eaten, you know they're dying. That's not hidden from the audience. You have Gothic Paul come up soon to be like, hey, people are missing, and you see the offline people go, oh, they're missing. Before the cold open, the doctor comes and says people are dying. But just the realization that it's been happening in front of you, and this is the bit I want Caden back for, because not only is it like an epistemically terrifying thing, but it's also part of the commentary, because that fact has been in front of us literally the entire episode. It puts the audience in the perspective of someone in the bubble who is literally not realizing what is happening directly in front of their face. And even I did. The moment I realized was actually an exterior shot of the bubble, and where you could see all the different colors, and I noticed like half of them were gray. Because, yeah, she's like a J name. About half of them were gray. And I love that reveal. I love how it builds into the theme. And Caden, he said he was making a tea. I don't drink tea. How long does it take to make tea? Oh, you're back. I heard you. Welcome back. Yep. You actually took a little too long, because I wanted to say, on top of the whole terrifying concept of realizing that, like, people's little lights are going out, I love how thematically it puts you into the perspective of the viewer. This is what they just heard me talk about, so I just want your reaction. Of we as the viewer literally did not realize what was happening directly in front of our face, because we've been watching the lights go out and didn't realize. Adore it.
Yeah, I like as well I think they kind of dropped it after the first like 10 minutes, which was kind of nice because it would have got annoying. But how the just full frame shot of her face in most of what's happening, and really keeping you outside of the world whenever she's talking.
Yeah.
It's just nice.
Well, I think they largely do it early on because you're not supposed to see outside the bubble. There's that.
Yeah.
It adds to some of the tension, some of the light horror aspects. Let's not get too far. Another detail I noticed, though, I'd love to get. You see how everyone's got their subscriber count down here? The lowest I see is like 3,000. That seems to be kind of like a normal person.
Yeah.
Except Gothic Paul only has 300 something followers. Which, again, the detail is the little commentary that Gothic Paul is the only person saying, hey, people are disappearing. Like, they are literally the only voice in the out of everyone we see who goes, something is going wrong. Yeah. And literally no one follows them. Well, I mean, 300 people do. But they have 100 times fewer followers than anybody else. And it's, Russell T. Davies, just such those little details that, like, no one wants to hear any of the slightest bit. It's closing your world off to, like, what's happening around you. And, of course, the slugs are the metaphor for any increasing, like, bad thing on the rise. As I say, Star Trek really lets me bring my the world is not as bad as you think it is. Doctor Who does a great job of trying to contradict it with doomerism. That could be a complaint, but it's more when talking about it than actually watching it. I mean, actually, it's kind of the opposite, but it's the same argument, is that a lot of people have a much worse view of the world because social media is a part, but it's other things like we adopted the internet fast, and as a society, we don't know how to deal with it. Ad-supported news, stuff like that. I probably don't have to tell you the state of the world, but then again, the point of this episode is that maybe I do have to tell you that why the world isn't as bad as you think it is. But, it doesn't work as well thematically, because that'd be like if the slugs were on the screen, but actually it was nice and peaceful. You know what, actually? I don't know how you'd write it. It'd be a different episode, but that would be an interesting way of doing, like, kind of the problems. I mean, maybe it's because it's a British show, but it's really an American problem. Like, it's everywhere, but it's very much American. That some sort of society that, like, thinks... This is Boom, kind of, wasn't it? They think that there's, like, a horrible war going on, but they're just fighting themselves. Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that was Boom. Yeah, fair enough.
I could take that.
Yeah. But I just love... Oh, and there's a fun little detail. Ricky's subscriber count is... Everyone.
Yeah, it's so funny.
So when he said earlier that everyone is my subscriber, do you think that's literal? Literally could you imagine if, like, Twitter did that? If you were followed by literally everyone, it said everyone.
That'd be so funny.
I mean,
maybe it's already a feature. No one's got it yet.
Yeah, I know. Like, every bot, every dead account, it'd be everyone. Yeah, I don't have many, though. It's just, I think it's a good establishing. It establishes the world we're in very well. It is, when I saw the bubble over the city, I'm like, okay, this episode isn't subtle. Like, that's okay, as long as you get a good episode out of it, but yeah, it's not subtle.
Is that, if you go back to the frame you were just on...
Homeworld, up above there?
Yeah, is that their homeworld?
I'd assume so.
Is it... Can you tell if it's in pieces from this? Not really.
Well, here's an interesting part. Like, for one, it's not like the slugs, like, nuked the planet. They ate everyone. But I assume we're on some moon or something. But we're skipping ahead. They call their mom, like, right here, and their mom is alive.
Oh yeah, I had assumed that was a pre-recorded message.
It could have been, but I don't know. Like, there's no difference between anything else. Like, there's no difference. Hang on, are we to believe that the entire police department is, like, above the first half of the alphabet here? And okay, see those little plot points that come up when you start thinking about it. I kind of like to imagine the first time that they were all essentially on their phones, like literally not even realizing who's gonna call the police in this world. What crime is happening?
Funny. I assumed whenever people would, I guess, get eaten.
Oh, there we go. Yeah,
Yeah,
Pepper
this was a big
Bean,
moment.
still a P. Oh yeah, it's still Susan Twist. I was too engaged to the episode, I almost forgot to notice it was Susan Twist.
That's a big moment, especially the first acknowledgement.
Love my Lindy. I like seeing what everyone's got down there.
I like that the old people as well don't. They have some of the least amount
Well,
of
yeah,
subscribers.
that was the weird thing though, is why. But no, still 100 times more than like Gothic Bean,
Yeah.
which I love. But if the old people are on social media, what's the point of having it be for kids? Like, just have this be the retreat. I guess then why is the mother? I don't know. It's some rich parent who doesn't have time for their kid. That's a common enough thing. It just bothers me that it's all. And we'll get to that later. I'll save the plot unraveling for the end. Actually, no, I won't, because it's what we were talking about directly. So is Homeworld destroyed yet? Because if the mom's alive, they get through everyone on Homeworld a lot faster than this tiny moon. And evidently going off a different list, even though they're all using the same social media. Like, you're right, it could be pre-recorded. I
had assumed, because she doesn't
a
talk
thing down
to the
here.
doctor or anything ever as well during this interaction. And because I had assumed when we learned that Homeworld is dead, I assumed
Okay.
Homeworld has been dead. And
she doesn't talk to the doctor, but Lindy does a lot of not talking to the doctor because he's black. So, you know.
yeah.
Like, I won't spend too much nitpicking this because I have other ways I can tear apart the plot. Yeah, I think my wife and I both like this this scene of The Office. It was funny though when I first saw the slugs, because I had a very different reaction to most people. Here we go, subscribers, everyone. I had a very different reaction to most people. Can I see one of the slugs? Somewhere where I was like, oh, I forgot about those guys. Because we'd actually see them leaked without their makeup, unlike someone filming. Doctor Who Slug. These guys don't have names. I wonder what their Wikipedia's page is going to say. They looked a lot less good. Here we go. Look at it. They looked a lot less good without their CGI.
Funny.
There were a lot of theories about these guys. I remember some people were saying that, like, there was like a classic villain that also kind of looked like a slug. I don't want to scroll too much live because I might show some actual leak we haven't seen yet. Here we go. This is what we saw. And people are like, oh my god, are they bringing back the like totally random obscure villain? It's like, no. Or maybe they did. We don't know what these guys are.
It is odd that that's what they decided to make. Like, in the story-wise, that they made slugs instead of just, I mean, the dots killing everyone like they do Ricky.
Okay.
We'll get to that, I guess.
Do you want to get to the plot points? The plot ones. Do I actually have a note that's not a plot critique? There was one I noticed that I didn't even think of a problem. Like, why did Ricky, who is followed by literally everyone, try and warn people? He did. Like, when Ricky first shows up, there's actually a line that's like, I tried to warn people, but my videos got deleted for some reason. And I like that, because there's a little foreshadow that, well, the dot doesn't want people to know.
Yeah.
But we don't know that yet. Even though we see people get, like, eaten on screen, and like everyone is always in a conversation, so it's kind of weird that nobody has seen this up until this moment. What a costume, Jack's Law. Hello, Jack's Law Subcase. Can you imagine going through Comic-Con in that thing? Like, Lilac City Comic-Con is this weekend. Believe it or not, that's not why both of the streams are delayed. I went to like an antique show, like an old person. I spent like a lot of money on I know, our house is going to look like a grandmother owns it, and like we're going to be here in 80 years. So it's going to be positively Victorian, like back in the day. Yeah, you know, you'll have to come over and you can't even enter. You'll be too young.
Forever 9.
You should see. We got some cool stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, you know why we're skipping is because most of my notes are like the little instances of racism.
I think the only big things I can
Yeah.
specifically remember and have to make note on happened quite late into the episode.
I mean, they really do. I think it's fine. It's fine to say for this first half. It's a good episode that we just don't have a lot to specifically talk about. It just does what it wants well. It conveys its themes well. It sets up its racism twist at the end well, which again we'll shove that to the end because it's the episode has literally nothing to do with race except for those last 10 minutes. So let's go put all that in the last 10 minutes. It's like
Okay. I want to know at what point for you it went
Okay.
from like when the downhill started, because
it was.
I want to know if it's around when my uphill started.
It was when she said people ages 17 to 27 was the first like you've got into, and that wasn't like oh my gosh it's ruined now. That just happened to be the first thing to where then a few little plot holes came up. I'll say it, and it just we got a little. I think some other things less subtly. There's some things that bugged me. Here's a note. These dots were clearly made by Apple. Whoops. Hang on. I clicked the wrong thing. Because when they're scrolling through names, right? You probably know what I'm going to talk about, I'd hope. But when the doctor scrolls through names, he's going down the list alphabetically, right? But he visually goes up the list. God, I hate like the first setting I change on like any laptop is I uncheck inverted scroll. What's wrong with you people? You sick, twisted. Am I in a little bubble here? Sick, twisted up scrollers. But also, if this is the dots list, why is it going? Cultural difference. Okay, no. This is like the one time I can't just say cultural difference, can I? Everyone here is very deliberately white, yet otherwise extremely and intentionally diverse.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The other one that bothered me in this scene was that the doctor speculates the dots gain sentience and basically hate humanity. And that was a little too far to me to say essentially like Twitter gains sentience and hates everyone because of what we post. Like, it leans, for one, it's kind of just went into social media in its entirety is the problem, which I don't think is true. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of good in social media. I saw my wife, but my girlfriend like once a weekend every 10 weeks at college. But the reason I could still connect with them at all was because the internet exists and like Discord exists. And literally the Discord, this is my new phone, but the Discord screen for my wife was slightly burned into my screen, which was OLED. And I thought the point of OLED was you couldn't burn into an OLED screen, but you apparently can.
I think I like this because I think we're gonna have our first maybe major opposing view of the season.
I think we kind of had that with 73 yards with it, but what's our biggest difference in? I'm gonna put a pin on what you said, sorry, but our biggest difference of opinion. Church, you were 6, I was 7. We agreed on Space Babies. Devil's Cord, we were half a point off. Boom was 0.7. 73 yards was 1.1. So far, our biggest difference of opinion is 1.1.
I think
the
moment of saying that Doc ain't sentient, for me, I actually and actively belly laughed at, and I loved it because I had spent the whole episode hating the point of view character, and then the doctor's like,
"Oh, you were with
this
the
thing hates you." So I thought that was so funny, and I didn't view it as social media was the bad guy. For me, I totally took that as like these people are obviously the bad guy, and they suck enough to that the thing that's supposed to like constantly like go to their every whim and make their lives easy for aside from the 2 hours that they're working every day, just despises them, and so is now systematically killing them all off. I thought it was hilarious.
I didn't even think to like morally judge the dot. You're right, you could though. Like it basically, you're right. But Jack Slot, so is that why he is black now? No, the Doctor is black because they found a really great actor with black skin, and that's why the Doctor's black. If you don't know, it's actually a cool story where they had someone else cast as the 15th Doctor. They already had their Doctor, but Shruti Gadwal walked in very late into the audition, and like he left that audition, and everyone was like, "That's 15, guys." Like, I really hope they didn't tell whoever they had cast before. But I'm at every actor who auditioned for the 15th Doctor must be like, "Who was it?"
Yep.
The day they die, I want to know. Like, Russell, let us know so they can't feel hurt. But anyway, to me, it was kind of like literally everyone was sort of in this toxic, the bubbles, and literally everyone was posting bad. Like, it also did kind of muddle things plot-wise. Like, so what about Ricky? Ricky uses the dot to wake up. They post like a music video that makes literally everybody happy. Just a little thing that makes everyone's day better, and that is the only time they use it at all. Sure, the dot doesn't know what he gets up to, but like that's a good use of social media. It's just a little thing that doesn't take over your life and makes everyone's day better. It killed everybody on Homeworld, and it tried to kill everyone on this planet. So is literally the entire population like racist assholes? Or are there a chunk of innocent people who had to suffer for this many? I mean, you could argue there's some theme in there. Like, but it just was the step far. And it took a step into something that's kind of hard to describe, but I think everyone's going to be familiar with the idea that kind of comes up a lot, that humanity is kind of like just bad. Like humanity pollutes our planet, and like no other species is even close to capable of like destroying the planet. Yeah, humanity invented nukes. Humanity has racism. Humanity does all these things, and it's sort of like almost an idea or pitched, even if that's not the idea, it's kind of shown a lot is we're just bad, or our brains are wired in such a way that we gravitate towards these negative things. Like, I mean, capitalism is a system by which the wealthy and powerful get more wealthy and powerful. But I really don't like that, because if the world is bad, or no, if a problem exists because humanity is bad, that is not a solvable problem. That, like, I can't do anything about that, But if there is a problem because there's a system that sets up such a way that makes it, or there are external factors that contribute to this problem, or like a bad uncontrollable thing happened, like, I don't know, a hurricane swept through the town like last week.
Yeah.
You can do something about that, right? And it's not just like describing a problem as solvable or not, because like even if all that's wrong, if the problem's unsolvable, like believing it's solvable doesn't change anything. It just maybe makes you feel a bit better. But no, because all these underlying systems exist. Like, first off, we've never met any other species capable of doing anything like humanity does. For all we know, humanity is the best one. More likely, every other species out there makes nukes, or makes social media, or gets to a point where it evolves like quicker than it knows how to integrate stuff into its society. Like, maybe every species has racism. Like, we are probably a normal species. But because those like real things exist that are actually causing the problems, if you kind of like get in the mindset of humanity just sucks, then you're not going to solve these solvable problems. Even they're difficult. I mean, I'm not going to say solving racism is a matter of realizing you can do it. No, of course not. But you're not going to solve racism if society believes you can't do it. You're just going to stay in the same place forever or get worse.
Yeah.
And so it lent a little bit too far into that. Well, humanity just sucks. so Twitter wants to kill you.
Mhm.
Because like if you looked at all of social media, I don't know what you'd find. I'd wager, though, that a majority of it would be, even if not, like, inherently good, like, I don't know, a charity or something, it's at least, like, neutral. Do my live streams, are they, like, the pinnacle of good? No. But like to hope they're, like, Ricky, posted a fun song that made people happy. I don't think we're, like, racist Twitter. Like,
Yeah.
it's yeah so it leaned a little too much into me, and there's still all the good in this episode. There's still the good theming. It's just this isn't going to be a 9, and this is why.
Yeah.
That it's these sort of things.
Mhm.
And then all the little plot points came up. So do you want to, I think before we got on this tangent, actually, let me look at some of the comments that have come through. The past doctors made it sound like he had some control over the next change. Jackslaw, without you citing why you believe that, I'm going to have to disagree that there's actually evidence the doctor himself doesn't. The second to third Doctor regeneration, it's like flat out stated the Time Lords will let him choose what he looks like. But like most doctors worry about the others. All the modern doctors have hoped to be ginger. Well, at least most of them. Most of them look at their regeneration and go like, damn it. This isn't what I wanted. What's this idiot? In fact, I don't think we got to see the 15th Doctor examine himself, which is a shame. Some of them do like it. Jodie was very happy to be a woman. She was like, oh, this is brilliant. I thought it would have been fun to see 15 examine himself. Maybe I'm forgetting it. It always feels weird, though. Imagine writing those scenes. Like, you got the picture of, like, the actor's face, and it's like, Eccleston's got, like, big ears, a bit of a chin. I'm gonna write dialogue that Christopher Eccleston has to say insulting his own face. It's like, God, I could never write those. I'd write 13s, where she looks at herself and goes, hell yeah, I'm a woman. That's the one. My ears are pre-pierced. Yeah.
Funny. That's the Doctor rite of passage, is just to make fun of yourself.
Some of them
and
do.
You can be the Doctor.
6, whose deal was basically it was a pompous asshole, looks at a mirror. He's like, oh, a noble brow, so distinguished. Like 6 is full of himself, but it's great for the character.
Funny.
12 has a line where he runs in from a room and he's like, nobody look at that mirror. It's furious. Fantastic line. But yes, Time Lords generically, a lot of them have been shown or implied to have a control. I think the general fan consensus is that the Doctor is just bad at it. Like, there's a lot of signs that he wasn't a great Time Lord at school. And he's not really good at the things Time Lords are good at. Like, he didn't know how to fly a TARDIS for like 1,000 years. He doesn't know how to regenerate. He's like scraped by the Academy with a 51% on his second attempt. It's yeah. But we don't really have time. But there is a theory that subconsciously he, like, what he's thinking when he regenerates influences the next one. It's been semi-confirmed in places. So maybe David Tennant subconsciously wanted to be a hot black guy. Like I don't know why. That was just so I've tried this woman thing, and I'm in for some change now. Like I don't know.
Switch it up.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, that was actually quite good. I want something different. Yeah, but we don't really have a time now. You know what? We'll get to it at least when we get to the 12th Doctor, who acknowledges why he has that face. But as I said, I think you'd wanted to get into some of the little plot points. I guess this is the nitpick hour. This is the part that makes Twitter hate us. Not Twitter hate. Yeah, Twitter hate us, Oh, by the way, I read, admittedly on Reddit with no primary source, but someone said that Twitter was like personally attacking Russell T Davies over this episode. It's like, you know what? I think he expected it. You know, he basically
Yeah.
wrote an episode against like toxic social media. I'm not surprised that toxic social
Yeah.
media went after
Got a
him on that
hold.
one. You know,
Mhm.
although I didn't see many Anglicans react to Boom, but I haven't seen an Anglican react poorly, so you know maybe. um, yeah, what do I got? You mentioned one that the dots like can kill people by flying into their face, and they spend
Mhm.
literally all day flying in front of people's faces. So why don't they just do it, or like in their sleep even?
Yeah.
Um, how did they make the slug monsters? Why did they make the slug monsters? In fact, why make so many if you're just gonna eat one person at a time? Um, you know, that was weirdly not even a mention of like the people who work at the bio factory, like they just put the buttons that the dot said. Like there wasn't even an attempt. It was just like it made slugs. It did. Also, it can kill you anyway, but it's just not going to.
Yeah.
And it
And
would bounce off Lindy, but it went straight through Ricky. Like
I'll say
Yeah.
that felt graphic for Doctor Who.
not after
I don't
like
know. Was it just
Boom.
me?
Not
It's
after
like the
some of the
boom.
episodes we've been getting, you know.
Boom felt like a science fiction-y, like, I don't
I
know,
mean,
because he kind of just evaporated, the guy that died at the beginning. But like that was just a like essentially getting shot
yeah,
in the
you
head.
know, you're right. But after some of what we've been getting recently, I didn't notice. If you had put
Mm.
this in the middle of like season 2, I would have said something. But I don't think it's like inappropriate. It was off screen. I mean,
Yeah.
even then, you have to like know what it did because his head's above screen. You have to kind of put together. But I like yeah, it is a little higher than previous seasons. I'll give you that. Yeah, there was some odd things. What else I've got? The city apparently has such good security it keeps the TARDIS out. Is that what we're supposed to believe? Or like did the Doctor just choose not to materialize in the city?
I mean, he did say he couldn't get in.
I mean, well, like he was also under the city, so maybe he just couldn't get through like those doors that I guess he gave Ricky the password to. You know, it's just like I'm enjoying what you're doing with the theme, and there's enough like good character writing. Like I'm on board, but you could have cleaned this up. Like just because you have good character writing doesn't mean you don't have to have a good plot. You know, it's not an excuse. It's just why this episode isn't a 6. You know, that's right. We're between a 6 and a 9. I'm teasing here. The show is going down some strange wood. Look at the windows. It's all like holes. I mean, this was a bad frame, but otherwise you're right. It's just I don't know. What's it? Postmodern? Is it something? These outside shots, which are probably just somewhere in London. I bet this is a university, actually, because we had a lot of stuff like
Yeah, I'd
this.
see it.
Other than that, which has got to be location filming, because we saw that leak. It's just a futuristic-y, colorful. Like, it's not drab and boring. I really like, you mentioned the set design. Maybe this will look dated, like this is how Now saw the future. Or maybe this aesthetic will be like TNG or something, where it was the 80s, but like it still looks like it's the future.
Yeah.
That'll be interesting. I bet just mention an AI and then it'll be like holding up. You know, TNG had tablets and like touchscreen, and that's part of why it holds up so well, even though it was the 80s. Because like that was future. They had touchscreens, but like is a thing that exists, not is a thing that people use. So, oh yeah, no, here it is. Look, her pupils look square. But if I let it play, watch her eyes are gonna dart.
Say they are.
No, her eyes are gonna dart. I'll have to. I can't just stream Doctor Who, so hang on. We'll get there. She's deadlocked. But I guess you saw what I mean. Every now and then she.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Yeah, I don't think it's.
I don't even know what it would be a reflection of though, because there's no square. Okay, here, look, her eyes are moving a bit. And she's not. She's deadlocked. I don't know. I don't know, man. You go watch the episode again. I watched these twice. Um, but no, Jack's had a point. I think we'll leave it till the very end because it's overall season stuff. We're near the end. There's only 3 more episodes this season, and it's an odd is a season. There definitely there's not really a theme.
Yeah.
But I think we should leave that till the end. That's meta stuff. Okay, there's something else I want to highlight. You know how you were kind of like meh on me when I mentioned with Boom? Rey Skywalker was talking about how her mommy was scooped up. Like, God loved her so early that she was scooped up. Well, I had to note this first time, right? Everyone is really chill that, like, their entire homeworld died.
It was weird. And they said something about going to the sky.
Yeah. Lindy says, Mommy has gone to the sky. And everyone's reaction is like, lucky mommy, like, well done. Caden, I mentioned this to Alex, but I didn't clock it till now. This is why everyone's so happy. They don't think she died. They think that it's gonna be some god. They're scooping up everyone. Like, we talked about what the guy was going to be at the end last week, I think. I won't say the name. But this is what's happening. Like, some death god is scooping people up, and you're going to look back and go, oh my god, they didn't die. Because that's why it's because they don't think they died. It's because some god is scooping people up for nefarious purposes. And that's why. I think I called it. You're still not convinced. Watch. How many more episodes is it going to take?
Okay, even when you look at people in the real world, heavily religious, someone dies, they go to heaven.
Yeah.
It's not like that's not still sad.
And that was the point. I was like, they're extremely religious. Like, it was religious. Like, the weird part was just that they said she got scooped up. That was a very physical thing. Like, when you die, God's hand doesn't come down and pick you up. That'd be fun. Like, that, could you imagine if you're driving by and you see, like, a hand come down, like, several blocks away, and like, oh, someone died. But, I want what I'm saying to be true and that to actually happen, though. Like, that they're starting a normal adventure and you see, like, someone's hand go down and they're freaking out. The Doctor and Ruby are freaking out. The Pastor Spider's like, dude, that's God. They're like, what do you mean? That's God. That's a big hand. Like, yeah, look at that. Imagine that image and that, like... But it's, like, gone to the sky, and these people aren't shown to be religious in any way. There's no... I mean, of course, we were explicitly Christian in Boom, but there's no religious symbols of any kind. No one ever really references, like, some god or creator other than gone to the sky. No, I think I called it. I think I called it.
That part felt weird to me, but I looked past it.
But there's 2 things that felt weird? Come on. It's like... Come on.
We've been bouncing around this episode. I don't know which...
it's just an episode that was good. I talk about this with Discovery a lot, which was the Star Trek I've been reviewing. But generically, when an episode's good, unless it's standout, like Boom or 73 Yards, does something weird and stand out and noteworthy. When an episode's just, like, good, or even pretty good, you can only say that so much, right? Like, yeah, this did everything it set out to accomplish. It did its theme. It did its characters. And there's only so much you can say beyond it was good, and I liked it. But when an episode's bad, you can go on and on and on and on. Even then, any nitpick, any 1.5 second thing that goes wrong, you can point out. So it's actually very difficult to review an episode without leaning into nitpick. And I know I do that a lot. I mean, I do highlight the positives. But there have been series that are bad where I've just stopped. So I'm like, all I'm doing is coming on and complaining every week. But that's why we're jumping around. This was a good one, but it was good in the kind of way where... I mean, there's not linear. It was all, like, theming. And all of my notes that are linear are the ways they were racist, and I've been glossing over. We're going to go back.
So as we're like just in the sewer scene,
Yeah.
what it makes me think of is I think my favorite shot in the whole episode, and just what was really good,
Hang on, let me
partially
guess. Let me
because of the
guess.
story, partially because of what it meant for the story, but
Uh-huh.
taking a step back from that, but just the filmmaking side
The
of this
direction?
shot.
This one here.
Not even that. Yes, but this. Everything else cuts out. There is no music or atmosphere,
Is
and it's
there
just a
not?
raw shot, and it's just actor
Okay, hang
performance
on.
of the doctor yelling.
We're gonna be quiet now. Oh, I muted the system. No, and I'm just gonna let this play. Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, it is just
And it's just that the whole time, and it's just
it's
just a
like
great
fan. It's ambiance, but it's like
Mhm.
it's
But there's no
specifically
music,
lack of
nothing.
sound. And that's
Yeah.
rare for Murray Gold, the composer. He like if he gets complaints, it's because he's bombastic in all the time.
And it's not a fancy shot either. It's just
Oh.
it's not in this character in an intense close up moment. It's a wide shot of just the room as it is, and just the creative decision to let this scene happen as it does is phenomenal to me. I love it.
Face is okay. There we go. There was something about that face that was a little too intense.
Of course, even you have the doctor's performance, but then there's a subtler one from Ruby.
I know if you're looking at Ruby. I only really paid attention to Ruby when I was just listening, because OBS is over on my right-hand side. But yeah, no, this performance again. I wish the doctor didn't cry all the time because the tears don't really add anything. It's like, yeah, he's crying. He does that all the time. But every other aspect of the performance, it totally was there and made up for it. Like the fact that you don't get that impact from the tears. Like he was. Any doctor, what's the closest time a doctor's really done anything like this? I don't know if maybe they had. When David Tennant had to sacrifice himself, he got a bit like this, but that's like the closest thing. And even then, this is a different level entirely. I don't have a photo. Someone's probably gonna be like, "Oh, what about this moment?" But I can't think of a time where like, "Oh shoot, you're echoed," because I did system output. It was Discord and you. Someone's probably gonna point that out soon, but yeah.
I couldn't think of any moments.
So, where do we want to start with the racism? Do we want to do the foreshadowing? You got the notes. Let's address head on, right? No, let's go head on first. I think we both said we like this scene, which is probably an understatement.
I think there was a note I have.
Yeah.
I forgot about this right before this that is part of this conversation, but I had taken it as a different way when it very first happened, and I was freaking out.
And I actually had to pause and look at my wife because they were basically shouting at all those racist assholes. And I had to pause. I was like, did I miss something from like the audio quality and the dogs? So I'm like, what did they say something that it was racism? Because my first assumption was it was like a class thing. I do realize they specifically talked to the doctor, not Ruby. They said, you, sir, which basically rules out like class. And that is something I didn't hear. And of course, I didn't have a lot of the time. My wife had remembered some of the subtle racism things that I just didn't have on my mind. But yeah, so what did you think it was?
Well, what I thought was happening before this scene, when they initially offered help to get them out of here, was I took it. My brain immediately went to Ruby when she said, "Come with us." Was Ruby and the doctor specifically asking?
A companion.
Yeah, for a companionship. And I actively shouted at the TV screen, "No! No, stop!"
Could you imagine?
Freaking out.
I don't know. Maybe you could do something interesting with like stereotypical like social media teen.
Especially after killing
I mean, you
Ricky,
do have an
like
unlikability
5 seconds
problem.
ago.
It was great.
I was terrified. But then it fell into place what was actually happening there.
Yeah, that is a funny misunderstanding though. Like, I thought for a moment you were also imagining like they're all the companion now. Every survivor is the companion.
But then I was like, oh, they just
Could you
wanna help
imagine
me.
next episode though? They walk out of the TARDIS and then it's like a clown car. There's like an unbroken 60-second shot of people walking out of the TARDIS. We
That'd be
need
so
that at
funny.
some point somehow. Make that happen just
Oh,
comically.
yes.
Over the end credits or something. Like the Doctor actually saves a village and that just happens. And the credits end and then it goes for like 5 more seconds and the episode
Yeah.
ends. But no, yeah. I mean, I was trying to think on the second watch through. Could they have made it more explicit? Because, you know, the fact that it's not explicit, I mean, there's always going to be people who didn't clock. Especially when, like, thematically, the whole episode is about having a social bubble. And so, in isolation of everything else that happens, the kind of logical assumption would be that he's not within the social bubble. But no, they really do a great job of setting it up. I think it's something that, of the people who didn't clock it, a lot would clock on a second watch through. But even in that one moment, other than saying, like, I'm not going with you because you're black, which is, you know, like, as explicit as you could get. Well, without, you know, getting into rated 18 explicit. But, like, let's do it. So, are you ready for the rapid racist rundown? It's the new segment of every episode. We're trying it out. I think it's gonna be good. So first off, of course, we mentioned everybody in Fine Time is white, yet otherwise incredibly diverse. I mean, the casting is in like every episode has been diverse but even just in like this is what the world is diverse. If you, like maybe Kaden and I, live in a particularly white American town, then this isn't what the world looks like for Kaden and I. But especially in like London or a metropolitan area, or just sort of a representative sample of a population, it's like, yeah, it's just a whole bunch of different people, and it's never made a point. And this is the one, I didn't clock it, because as I mentioned, everybody being white is what happens when I go to the shop. Like, and they are very diverse, which in media you don't get, other than racially. They're diverse in like every way, except size. I was thinking, I don't think we see anyone who's like plus size. But I mean, that's minor. I don't think it's an omission in the episodes, though maybe a plus size is going to point me out and say we haven't had a single one. But yeah, there's that, which is a great subtle thing. Of course, do you want to know why my small American town is mostly white? Because we got a pretty big KKK headquarters down the road, which, I mean, it's not pretty big nowadays, but you really didn't want to be here if you weren't white, like maybe 50 years ago.
Yeah.
When they meet the Doctor down here, after they've just seen the slug, they've had a little bit of time to talk to Ruby. But as soon as the Doctor shows up, it's, does that thing have something to do with you? It's like, is the Doctor must be involved in this somehow. When the scene where it's like, I don't know how to walk without the arrows, they're both stunned, like Ruby and the Doctor. But Ruby goes, like, repeats it. You don't know how to walk. You know, it's that back and forth where they're in disbelief. Ruby and her go back like 3 times. The Doctor repeats it, and she says, that's what I just said. I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. Sorry, I had to scroll on Notepad. But, like, instantly, she was condescending, like, what a stupid question, which, you know, she'd done to Ruby before. But only when the Doctor asked it, not Ruby. When the Doctor congratulates her for getting out there, like, you did well done, her reaction is, condescending much? And again, I mentioned, individually, you could be a lot of things, like, technically, yes, it is condescending to say congrats on your walk. But all together, and with the knowledge they are explicitly racist, these are definitely seeds of, like, this is someone who's racist, has racist values, and it's probably just subconsciously. They're not going, the Doctor's black, therefore they did this. They do in one of my examples, but, I mean, this is what racism is nowadays. I'm not gonna pretend that like it's 1960s racism hasn't completely gotten away, but I think
Mhm.
most racism nowadays is subconscious. It's systemic. It's not someone who is consciously racist. It is. I live in a town where when I go to the shops, like basically everybody is white, and that
Yeah.
affects my worldview in ways I don't realize, sort of things.
Mhm.
Believe it or not, Spokane actually has probably way more of a diverse population if you were to Google it, because some people might Google Spokane ethnicity population. It looks a lot more diverse, which it is. Which again is because I'm white, and so my families have had the generational wealth, and I don't live in the poorer neighborhoods where you will actually see non-white people.
Yeah.
It's those sort of things.
Mhm.
When getting into the elevator, here we go. I said we'll skip ahead. The doctor asked the question for the first time, why do they ignore you? That's twice. And he directly asks a question, which Ruby totally ignores and calls the police immediately. Not on the doctor, but, she doesn't
Yeah.
even give the question the time of day. Or actually, for all we know, she did call the police on the doctor. She never got through. But I'm not going to make the assumption that she called the police on the doctor. You know what would be a fun detail, actually?
Hmm.
Is, if, like, Ricky had gotten through to the police, or if you could somehow imply that they didn't answer because they knew a black man was in this call. It'd be hard to work in kind of naturally, but
Yeah.
that would be an interesting one. Next, once she realizes Ruby and the doctor are in the same room, which, by the way, I liked how they did it. The first
Yeah, me
time,
too.
well, the first time, like way earlier, Ruby and the doctor look at each other, I go,
Mhm.
hang on, but like you aren't seeing each other as the audience. Are you like right next
Yeah.
to each other or something? And they do it
Mhm.
again a bit before the reveal. I thought that was good.
Yeah.
At that moment, Lindy like completely turns on Ruby. It's like, this is a conspiracy. You guys are criminals. Of course, her reaction is just like, ew, like, that's weird. And I noticed some people on Reddit even clocked that. Like, why is it weird they're in the same room? But
Mhm.
it comes just after a scene where she's in the same room as a bunch of people. And is like, what the hell do you mean?
Yeah.
Look. Yeah, I
Look it
can
up.
call him on here, So that's what you assume the first time.
Mhm.
But yeah, and then Ruby starts getting treated in the same way that the doctor has been. A lot of people are mentioning when the doctor calls, she like instantly blocks, but she hears Ruby out a little bit. I
Yeah.
didn't write that down because the doctor literally comes in saying, you're gonna die, you're gonna die, you're gonna die. But Ruby acts as if she is part of the system.
Yeah.
So, I'm gonna give a little benefit of the doubt here.
Yeah.
Lindy makes a comment where she thought the doctor just looked the same as the doctor earlier, which a lot
Mhm.
of people have pointed as like all insert race here look the same.
Yeah.
Um, you know, yeah, she calls them criminals. After when she's with the group, right? This was the one that really got me like, oh. And there's a few instances like this I don't think I write down. When the doctor's like, I need to talk, it makes him and Ruby bigger, right?
Mhm.
And she's like, you can't do that. Here's what Lindy says. Guys, I know this is wrong, and after this, he is going to be so disciplined, but just give him a shot, okay? I think he's not as stupid as he looks. And I'd seen other people mention, yeah, I think I know why she thinks the doctor looks stupid. But specifically, he is going to be
Mhm.
disciplined. Not they. Ruby's clearly innocent. I mean, they're a blonde, blue-eyed white girl.
Mhm.
But yeah, that one was like, oh. Yeah, there's the first one you're not gonna dance around, right? But yeah, there were a lot of other moments where, when discussing what Ruby and the doctor did negatively, it's a he,
Mhm.
and not a you and not a they. which again, narratively speaking, is very well done. In the sewers, when she sees the Doctor and Ruby approach, I really like this one. She kind of glances down, like really like I don't want to be here, and like jolts off. She kind of scrunches in sort of a defensive position and like scorches off, which you kind of read as like, I just murdered Ricky. Like
That's what I took it. Yeah.
But oh my god, is that a black man? I'm gonna get out of here. Like that's yeah. It's just really. I've only got a few more notes. Actually like 6, but the whole thank you scene, like when you know what's going. If you haven't, like, give this last little bit of rewatch. It's like, oh, you two, this is strange. I wonder what the this is. I suppose I should say thank you. You know, which she doesn't. And then what she does so is like, it was nice of you. Is like really weird and forced. Like you're not.
Yeah.
It's not something she feels she's supposed to be saying. You know. And the line you mentioned, like, come with me. The like what she gives is like just such a. It's such a. Like the insanity they propose. I mean, I can't think of an analogy that's not just like something from the civil rights movement of like, it's the laugh because it was like so ridiculous, but also like, are you just serious? Like me with, it's like the idea that you couldn't have any of this mixing of racism. After the reveal, of course, there's the line, it was your duty to save me. It was like, you did save us, but of course it was your duty to save me. It's such a ooh. They get vicious after the reel. There was the one, I missed the sign originally, but he's like, he tells them that like about it's magic box. He's like, yeah, a box is bigger on a magic box. That's voodoo. It was such a, I'm judging you, and also you're clearly an idiot. So I am going to tell you that your magic box is voodoo in a condescending way. And also, I believe voodoo is part of your culture, but I still feel the need to explain to you that that is voodoo, but also, not only is it not voodoo, not only am I misunderstanding voodoo, but that also isn't a part of your culture. There was even turn away before you're contaminated. Like, no, the reason I didn't think it was so clear is because dynamic range sucks, and my dogs were loudly fighting over a chew toy. It's always when something's good on. The dogs, I'd like to point out.
Because they know, they get excited.
I mean, just generally as well. Oh, this was a good one. I didn't have one of the racism. You know, she condescends the Doctor. She's like, oh, great job with your walk. She's like, condescending. It's like, turn off your bubble. And she's like, are you insane? Like, I hate you. What are you doing? But when she meets Ricky, and she learns that she meets Ricky, she's like, oh, Ricky, you're so good at walking, is literally the line. And when she's like, I turn off my dot every day, she's like, oh my God, you're crazy. I love you. And it's just literally everything that she complained, admittedly the Doctor and Ruby, for like against her. It's great when Ricky does it, because he's Ricky. Do you like my Valley Girl? Like, oh my God, I do a good Valley Girl, which is, I don't know how I should feel about that, but like,
Mixed.
it sounds
Mixed
good
opinions.
in my head. I don't know if it sounds outside my head, but I mean, that's why if I ever want to sound like a girl, I can just do my streams like this. Could you imagine if I nitpick an episode entirely like this? The next bad episode of Doctor Who is just gonna be this voice the whole time.
On the note of Ricky, I liked the sharing moment when everyone got flustered, Ruby and the Doctor, with seeing Ricky for the first time.
I didn't really like that Ruby and the Doctor not only knew Ricky, that was weird. I felt it might have undermined the point a little that they also admired Ricky. I guess if literally everybody follows that man, I'd look at that, you know? I probably would have noticed. But also, I did realize that, like, it's not California, but we do live in a valley. So, like, I kind of am a valley girl, if you think about it. That's probably why the voice is coming from. It's because I am a valley girl. So,
Naturally
like,
within.
it's just me, guys. Like, oh my god, I love it. I have to love to listen to this back because whatever the echo in my head in wearing my noise canceling headphones does, it is the Valley Girl voice in my head. It's I can't demonstrate this to you, but oh my god. So it's probably gonna sound real bad in the recording. I'm gonna sound like so full of myself. Oh my god. You're not coming back. Just think, if you ever disagree with me on it, you think a good episode is bad, I could whip it out at any time. Like,
oh no.
oh yeah. All right, should we see what the comments think about the discussion of racism? Yeah. I was talking about Windows still. When do we get to racism? There's still plot holes. Get to that. It's moving real. Oh my gosh, where do we get? Actually, maybe we're not talking about racism. Oh wait, hang on. They're not even trying to hide us. Play with his nail. You go see it. Go back. Look at this. Okay. They didn't actually talk about racism. Well done, chat. I want to say well done. I don't think you understand voodoo. You're right. Well, actually, I don't know if that's directed at me or the person in the video. The person in the show definitely doesn't understand voodoo. I don't understand voodoo. The only time I've encountered voodoo is like the pop culture or stereotype. I don't know which way to go with those aspects, but no, I'm aware that it's a deep cultural thing that technically does have some aspects of like what you would actually see, but it's also a very specific thing that is far broader than that. But yeah, no, I don't understand voodoo. Like, why would no? I think my wife does actually. They've looked into like some proper voodoo stuff, or at least they know more than me. I think I learned voodoo was like an actual thing and not just a generic term for magic. Probably after some movie with like that had voodoo in it, and someone mentioned it. I don't remember, but yeah, no, it's just not something I've encountered. But as a like, I'm a racist line. They did amazing. In fact, should we be a little worried at how well they did? No, I know. I mean, he works in media. He writes liberal-leaning media. I'm sure he reads a lot of like, racist. He cast the 15th Doctor. He went to the announce. He knew he was writing this episode. He announced 15 and then just scrolled through Twitter. It's like, oh, that's good. That's good. That's good. I can use that. Yeah, that's what he did.
Funny.
The racist episode writes itself, You just have to go watch it. You have to keep the casting notes in your back pocket. That's sad. I will say, though, Shooty Gadwa, I'm like sure zero number of people complain, but he's actually, again, as the world doesn't suck as much as they think it does, like, you see very little. I don't think I've personally seen any hate towards Shooty, even just like generally, not even due to his like skin color. And Jodie Whittaker, of course, was the first female Doctor who has similar, bigots. Like, I would see some stuff like, oh, they made the Doctor a woman now, but like, no, everyone's like, man, this guy's good. Like, well done, I guess, society. Or maybe they're just suppressed more, but even then, I guess, well done. Or maybe I'm in a bubble, and that's I guess that's the problem with the episode. But no, I have to say it's been positive all around the board, and it does seem to be successful. I mean, it's really hard to analyze like the actual success, because of course the viewing figures are the lowest they've ever been, because you can now stream it on iPlayer, and Disney doesn't count. So it looks like it's dire if you go to like TV, but relatively, I think the TV viewership is pretty consistent. And I mean, you're hearing about it in school, and this is America. Yep. This isn't the UK where like everyone's just kind of aware of Doctor Who. This is like the this is West Coast America. Like, wait, this is the valley, you know? We're in our isolated little bubble. But yeah, I think you want to rate this episode, and there's some other stuff we can talk about generally for the season, but I think we should get the rating out of the way unless there's more you want to talk about.
Man, I don't know. Do you have your rating set? Do you know what you're going to give it?
Not really. I can give, actually, you can everyone see the screen? No, everyone can see the window, but you can see your previous ratings if you want to kind of do it comparatively. As I said, it's not a 9. Oh my goodness, Disney does not like that I'm going to put the thumbnail up because Disney's glitching out when I put Notepad for some reason. But it's not a 9. Like it just about any plot holes. I don't really think I'm going to go above an 8. I might give it an 8. Like Devil's Cord, but like a 7, even 7 point, that feels too low. Like I'm definitely somewhere in the 8. I might even 8.1 maybe to put it above Devil's Cord. I don't really want the rankings to just be next to each other, but you're totally lost, are you?
I'm thinking I know what I'll give it.
Oh shoot, I remember why I wanted to talk about it. It was more racism stuff, but we'll go on. Just remind me about that. That'll get me there.
I could do. I'm gonna be unpopular here.
Oh god, wait, man! After we discussed it, like it really, I don't know what you're gonna do. Are you gonna like? It sounded like you liked it, but okay.
5.5.
Oh wow, that's like Space Babies bad. That is their second lowest.
Because
okay,
like Space Babies wasn't a bad episode, but you know it was run of the mill.
Yeah, no, that's a low.
I'd say this was better than this, but it wasn't as good as Church of Ruby Road,
which you gave a 6. If Church wasn't there, would you rank it higher? Like
I think I'd give it a 6 if I didn't give Church a 6.
Okay. Oof, that's gonna hurt its average, let me tell you. Like, at the end, we're not gonna say like everything was an 8, but Space Babies.
It just seems like an average episode. I don't know, but
dang,
mid to me.
Tell you what, I'm gonna come back to this, but there's a serious problem with the structure if this was an average episode.
I'll put it at 6 with Church. I'll do that.
I mean, you don't fall to peer pressure, but it does sound like you don't think it. Yeah, it sounds like you don't think it's a. So even without all the other episodes, you don't think it deserves more than 6. Is like, which I mean, if that's how you feel,
light 7, but I wouldn't. But like,
all right,
I could see an argument for a light 7.
You really did not sound like you were talking about a 6 this whole time. Like I think you've swept it under the rug for us. I'll go get my wife. Like just hang on. I'm just gonna say if you're free, pop down here for a sec.
Oh God, I'm gonna get killed.
Not important. Because they look cozy. How do I make... I don't need my stream to be big. Yeah, well, as I said, it's at least an 8. Maybe I gotta go up just to bring our average up. Because I think it's better than Devil's Cord, because Devil's Cord, I just didn't like those fourth wall breaks. But I'm putting an 8 down. 8...
But see, I comfortably put Devil's Cord 1.5 above this.
Comfortably interesting. I mean, again, I'm a little cautious to just go like comparing the old ones, especially these first 3 now, because Devil's Cord was like 3 weeks ago. Do I really remember Devil's Cord like I do this episode? I'm kind of liking the 8.3 that 37 yards is sitting at. 8.2? What's our average? You know what I like, weirdly enough? Every one of these episodes, I think I feel better about the average, except Space Babies, than I do the score I gave it. And Space Babies is just bloated by Alex,
Yeah.
Okay, so the echo of the program. 8.5 plus 6 plus 8.3 divided by 3. Yeah, you know what? 8.2. I was thinking maybe 8.2. 8.2 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 6 4. No. I mean, we're still in the 8s, you know. What is it from 8.2, you know? Actually, is it 8.5 plus 6? But this is what people want, right? Right. David C is not here to donate like $20, so how do I know? Wait, really? 8.5 plus 6 plus 8.2 divided by 3. I might have done my math wrong. Hang on. 8.5 plus 6 plus 8.3 divided by 3. Oh, yeah, no, I did my math wrong. That's a 7.6. I thought that was high. No, if I give it 8.3, our average sits at 7.6, meaning it is better than Space Babies. It is slightly better than Church, but it is... I mean, it's not bad. It's like 0.4 from Devil's Cord, but it is noticeably worse than the previous 3. I wouldn't go that far. I'd put it, like, with those previous 3. They all glump together nicely. Although, you know, I did give Boom a 10, so who knows anymore. Who knows? This is why I don't do rankings out of 10, you know? Like, this 8 sits well with all the other episodes, but also I gave Boom a 10. So, yeah, who knows? And I specifically said 73 yards wasn't an 8. I gave it a 7.9. Yeah. So who knows? You know, this is why I'm never going to rank every Star Trek episode or every Doctor Who episode, because it's just meaningless. It takes so long to watch them. Like, it'd take me a year to do Star Trek. God knows Doctor Who. So like, even ranking like doctors or seasons is like, no way am I gonna actually have an accurate ranking. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You did say you did not think it was good for Star Trek at the time. This one? I thought probably said that this was much better. Oh, no, I said the good twist, which was the whole, like, lights going out, social media, everyone's going gray thing, but not in, like, an old way. My OBS is broken, and I can't get rid of the window capture. The instructions. Hit hello? Hello? All right, we're on manual now. I've never had this happen. Is something eating my input? I'm live. Yeah, I'm still live. I don't know. Okay, what I wanted to talk about, right, is 7.6. The races, because this is the first time we've done anything with the fact that the Doctor is now black. You know, we've done anything with racism. This Doctor, who, you know, has a unique relationship with racism. So kind of there's the question of how, I'm actually going to pose this to you as a question. How would you have handled the Doctor being black? Because, of course, if somehow you're not aware of why that might matter, you know, he's a time traveler. And especially in the past, you know, there were a lot of places he feasibly couldn't really go as a black man. And at the very least do the sort of things the Doctor does.
Either you like, because yeah, you're so right with that. You like have it be a thing in each episode that's overcame, or you have to find a way to like somehow hand wave it, or you just never go to those places where the Doctor couldn't go.
So,
which really we haven't really gone back.
I was actually going to bring this up to you. We went to the past in Devil's Cord, but never really dealt with it. You know, we fought the god the whole time. Next week is the first episode in the past. Like, proper. But for all I know, it's not properly in the past, you know, if we're saying Devil's Cord wasn't. And I do kind of wonder if this was something of a primer that maybe will deal with race. But you know, it's just a little observation.
This late into the season, because like if they started going back early in the season and they dealt with it right then you get to the thing where you deal with it every episode or you figure out something. But now that there's only like 3 more episodes,
here's
I could see them definitely taking a great opportunity for it.
Ruby really hasn't met an alien on screen. Goblins were from Earth. the boogie monster was made by humans. Same with these slugs. Devil's Cord, technically, Maestro is an alien. But, you know, it's not really pitched in a sci-fi sense. Of course, they look human, but it's not quite like the Slovene, you know? There's...
Yeah.
Like, it's a technicality, sure. And, of course, 73 Yards, I guess Ruby was the villain.
Which, to this Ruby, doesn't exist too, anyways.
Russell T. Davies did something similar. The Ninth Doctor never left Earth. I think I mentioned this to you before, but he never left Earth. Or like Earth orbit. But I think it's just a grounding thing Russell T. Davies is doing. He had this thing, I don't know if he still feels it, where like it needs to be about humanity for people to relate. He's got some quote like, "No one cares about the blobbies from Blobulon who have been fighting the Blobulans," which I fundamentally disagree with, but beside the point. Look at Spock, you know, like look at that guy. But anyway, well, okay, half human, but look at Data, who's, you know, but beside the point. So I think that's why, whatever your original point was. Oh yeah, why we haven't really gone to the past is he's just trying to ground it. But I have some added context of, you know, having seen Doctor Who and seen them gone to racist times. Having seen Jodie as a woman go to times where that could have been an issue. And of course, the Doctor has had black companions before. I would say that the answer is you don't acknowledge it at all, except, and I'll get to that except. And the reason you don't acknowledge it at all is I don't believe that you should confine marginalized actors to certain roles because the past was racist or homophobic or, you know, sexist, whatever. Like, that is just perpetuating racism needlessly. I mean, you know, if you're making, like, a movie about, like, I don't know, the civil rights movement or, like, the Indian independence movement, like, yeah, you know, race is very important, but generally it doesn't matter. Like, you know, make Isaac Newton black. Like, I don't care. But unless you're, I don't know, maybe if you're making a documentary about Isaac Newton where you're really shooting for accuracy, but even then, this is a different issue. And I know Doctor Who's done very well with, like we had with the Beatles, you know, it was a fairly diverse group of people, but still a group you, at least I would expect you'd find in, like, London in the 1960s.
Yeah.
And there are even lines. I love one with, I've mentioned before, this line between the Doctor and Bill, who is one of the black companions, the first in, like, a while. And they go to, like, old-timey London. And she's like, well, hang on, can I, like, walk around? Like, I'm not exactly white. Actually, that's a different line. But she mentions, I think after that, it's like, well, look around. Like, it's not exactly like you see it in the movies. Because as reference, it's a very diverse group. They're at, like, a fair, an expo or something. There's a lot of people of color. There are people from, like, you know, the Asia, from India, which is Asian, but, you know, East Asia, very diverse. And the Doctor's response is like, history, it's a whitewash. And they basically brush over it. And it's like, yeah, the past is just, we have black extras, okay, guys, stop freaking out. That's basically the response. And but they still maintain awareness. Like, even that episode has a racist guy who the Doctor punches in the face. But Doctor Who has demonstrated it can do this. It can still be progressive while portraying the past, and you just can't forget that, like, the past was, you know, was racist. Now these problems. That's the important thing. As long as you remember what history was, you know, we can still do these.
Yeah.
And yeah, so you shouldn't say that any black Doctor just can't go to the past. Like, why not? This is like, the actors love going to the past. You know, they have fun. It guts the story purely for the actor's race. But I think I said before, you should absolutely take advantage of the opportunity and write a banger racism episode.
Yeah.
Because this is hardly new for Doctor Who. Like it does. It tackles race. You know, it's been around for 60 years. The most prevalent racial thing has changed over the 60 years, but there's loads of examples. There's examples of like, hey, colonies are racist. Maybe we should stop this. You know, there are. This is an example of like the more modern racism issues, but you probably a few of those you'd have where like it's an issue. And Jodie did have one where it's like a witch hunt episode, and one of the conflicts is that as a woman, the Doctor can't really get into those positions of authority that they're used to, and it's a hindrance in their ability to solve the problem. But I was talking like, well, is it really right to totally ignore it and just kind of have this as the racism episode? And you can't really do that like once a season, because you can only really do it so many times so quickly before you're like, okay, this was good, but like, can I get something new? You know? And I actually was talking with Alex where I led to the realization that basically exactly what they did is how you do it. Is that every now and then, I still please write like a banger racism episode. You're doing social commentary very well, but every now and then just have an episode that otherwise has nothing to do with race. We're like, yeah, these people are racist, so they're not gonna let the Doctor help. Like you're still keeping aware that like, hey, the Doctor's black, but you don't want it to take over the show. You don't want to perpetuate like, oh, you can't do this thing because you're black. And just that wouldn't have happened back in the day. Which even then it might have. Like when we're talking about those extras in London, I've got no idea how diverse the like 1870 Ice Frost Fair would have been. But like, yeah, I'm sure London definitely wasn't just white in 1870. So, you know, that I think they're doing it well. Like it'd be weird if we didn't get an episode that was about racism. And of course, looking forward, it'd be kind of weird if every time we had a black Doctor or just a non-white Doctor, we had a racism episode like that. At that point, you're kind of again tying it to the race, which is what we want to avoid. But it's also worth noting, 2 or 3 seasons ago, we literally had an episode in the American Civil Rights Movement. So it's been a while. I think we could do one, but it wasn't too long ago where we like if a Doctor went to Civil Rights America, that would feel weird. It's like, okay, we did just do this one.
Yeah.
But of course they're British. You know, they'll probably go to probably a colony, but we'll see. But I don't think we've done colonial Africa or like Africa in general. Like we've had maybe scenes in Africa, but I think Shudi's mentioned he's wanted to go to Africa. I don't remember if he's mentioned specific countries. He might have, like the one his heritage is from, because I can't remember if he was born in the UK or not, but he certainly moved at a very young age. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's one of the ways they do it, but of course you don't really just want to be like, oh, well, we're in Africa, therefore it's going to be about race. Like, that's also bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't write a show. I don't run a show. But, you know, it still is untapped ground. You know what you could do, actually? And, of course, this wouldn't be the only time you'd go to Africa. But you could do a great episode. You could have your kind of racism episode be about the modern after effects of colonialism and how a lot of former colonies basically are still colonies. I know former French colonies in particular, like, are economically just basically forced into being dependent on the franc and being forced to sell and buy from France at way below market value. And they have a lot of their mineral wealth and values forced like straight into France and out of them. God, I wish I could. I want to say it's Haiti, but I can't remember if it's Haiti specifically. It's one of the Caribbean-y ones. Like basically had a coup with one of the people who were like, hey, the situation we have with the French is racist, like their former colonial, I don't want to say masters, but their colonial, I mean, I guess that's what it was at the time, you know, the colonizer, that's the word. It was basically a coup. He's like, hey, we want our proper independence. That's it. They've got a debt. They had a massive debt from like their independence war or something that France still makes them pay reparations for. And there was like a talk, like one of the leaders, I don't remember the term, you know, president, prime minister, whatever, was like wanting to talk. And there's basically a coup between the French that naturally we helped with to overthrow this guy and install someone who was more keen to the French people. So I write an episode about that. No one knows about this stuff. Like, come on, bring that to the attention. And like that could actually do good. And you're not stuck in like, you're not saying, because the danger of going to the past, which is why we're in a future episode is the first time racism coming up, is that you could say, well, yeah, the past was racist, but we're not like that now. And to an extent, you know, we aren't like the civil rights movement now. We've got different racism, you know? And so that's almost the update of like, okay, we don't really have colonies anymore. But like, let's show that we basically do have colonies in a lot of places, and let's do something about that. Let's bring it more into the modern age, like we're doing for these other things. We did it with Boom. We did it with this episode. Like that would be a great way to do their racism episode for this Doctor.
You ought to get hired.
Oh, hey, Alex. Oh no, don't let me write it. God, it'd be off. If you thought Chibnall was bad. Like, you know, there are a few episodes of Chibnall I think I could write better, but not many.
You need to calm down.
Caden, you gave this an 8.5. Caden gave this episode a 6, and I had to, like, argue him up there. I know.
6 was bumped up, too.
Come here, come to the mic. He had to, like, yeah, it was bumped up. Like, he sounded like he liked it. He didn't sound like he was talking about a 6.
Hold on, give me the headphones.
Wait, Alex wants to speak to you.
I have some short. I'm sorry. What do you mean it started at a 6?
No, it
No,
started
I actually
at a
gave it a 5.5.
Excuse me? move your booty.
Yeah, it was
not
just
even an
tough.
8 on
It was
average.
hard to
It's
get
like
past
second-
the
it's
whole
besides
first
six
half of the
things,
episode
second
when
lowest.
I hate the point of view character.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom.
Fair. Like, the point of view character sucks, but she's kind of meant to suck.
Yeah, no, like, she is meant to suck. It does it so well that I just don't want to be with her.
Here's the thing. I just thought she was, like, just a boring point of view character. I was just like, yeah, she's just a snotty, like, young adult. Like, I've met people like her, but I know she's not gonna be past this episode, so I dealt with it for the episode.
By the time
No,
they got to the
but,
point
like-
where, like, the robots hate you because you suck, I was belly laughing at how funny that was because I
It was
just
true.
I felt it. I hated her so much too.
Have, like, y'all talked about, like, the end of the episode where everybody is, like, blatantly racist?
Yeah.
Poor Nathan, we're watching this, the dogs are fighting, and, like, Nathan just hears me because he can't technically hear what's going on because the dogs are barking, and it's just like, that racist bitch. That hoe. It's just
You were attacking them.
they were being racist. And like at the first time they said a few rude things, I started looking at the crowd. I was like, "There's not a black."
Look at my notes of the
Yeah.
racist things that happened in this episode that you notice on a rewatch. It's literally more than all my other notes.
I was just like, I was looking like at this scene was when I really acknowledged. I was like, "There is not a black person of color in the background."
There wasn't one in the episode, by the way.
Yeah,
other than the
and then
doctor.
like I looked back and I was just like, I don't think there was a black person in the screen people and like the boxes. And I was like, was there an Asian person in this? No, it was just a group of probably really racist people.
It was Spokane if Seattle wasn't also in this state. That's what this was.
Also, she did not deserve to live. what's his face
No.
deserved to live more because at least he was helping
Yep.
people.
I loved him.
That was a question.
was
So
cool.
was Ricky
Ricky
also like a racist guy? Because like he seemed chill and everything. He seemed understanding of the doctor.
He was cool when he talked to Doctor. Yeah, I don't think
He's
he was
just like,
racist.
yeah, just I know the numbers. Just give me the numbers, and we are good to go.
He was like such a cliche, like the good guy, that it was funny with her like utterly cliche bratty girl.
No, and like I had to do like when we were watching it, I was just like, okay, is it just like maybe it's just like they just all happen to be white because like they're all like light haired, like ginger and blonde. So I looked and I was like, nope, there's a dark haired person here. It's just because they're white and it's not a coincidence. Nathan just was like, damn.
Oh yeah, no, that absolutely was. Even if it wasn't about racism, it was absolutely deliberate. Like it was a choice to make everyone white.
Yeah.
Just the way that Russell T Davies
And the
works
fact
and
that
how
they
many...
were so entitled, like, well, yeah, you had to save me, but I don't need much more from you. Oh, I was about to throw hands this episode. I think you.
Oh, here's one we missed. When the doctor like makes him and Ruby bigger on the screen. Guys, I know this is wrong, but after this, he is going to be so disciplined. But just give him a shot, okay? Like she specifically calls out the doctor and not Ruby whenever it's anything bad.
Yeah, because Ruby's white.
Yep.
I was very angry at the end of this. I was just like, they deserve to die.
But yeah, they all.
The dot had a point.
Yeah, absolutely.
That was just like, oh, these piece of shits be racist. Time to get rid of them. Valid.
They're probably dead now.
Good.
All right. I might have to push you out of this here soon, as we were moving away from.
Nathan. I can't hear you anymore.
That's my wife. They do this sort of thing all the time.
I demand that you put your score up.
We did.
I've demanded.
Yeah,
here.
0.5.
That's Caden. I told you. That's why you came down.
Caden,
Hello.
up that 6 now.
Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it.
Well, we're locked in. It's just
No,
Caden.
I
This
will
is going to
have
be the only non-8 like in
I
this
will
whole
have-
stretch.
Space babies.
Yeah, but I said in this stretch. Look, Space Babies was Space Babies, Alex.
Caden, you
let's be
either need
honest.
to put it up or I also have some choice words and actions for you next time I see you.
Okay. By the way, I do want to point out, because we've been talking about like the colonists, I guess you'd call them this whole time, the citizens.
Racist hoes.
The doctors, I don't care. I will still do literally anything to save you if you just let me. I
Yeah.
also want to highlight. First off, that's absolutely the doctor. But yes, I've mentioned before the scene where the doctor like punches the racist guy in the face, and I'm also like, yeah, I don't. It's comical, but also I don't think I really like it because it's like, it's the kind of guy who'd be like, I do not care, I will still save you anyway, and that's the way I think you should be.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
So I want to call that one out as well. Oh, Alex left. Did they took that tennis ball with them? Good. So, but I believe we were going to transfer into some general stuff with the seasons, because we've had 6 out of 9, if we're counting church episodes this season. Actually, no, discount church, because I specifically want to talk the season. We've had 5 out of 7. Is there anything kind of overall about this season? You have any thoughts? I have a point, but I want to see if you get there without any.
Like overall, just things that I like, or overall thematically.
I mean, yeah. Overall, thematically, I mean, I think we like this season. It's clear so
yeah,
far.
I'd like it, but I do. It is disappointing that there isn't a central path.
Yes.
There is, like, they're getting at it with Ruby, but it's not in the spotlight.
Even then, Ruby isn't a theme. Ruby
Yeah.
is actually, I can tell you, I know what the theme of this season is. It's supposed to be found family. That was just been said. This is supposed to be a found family theme, which will probably bookend, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's in the middle. In this Space Babies, I suppose you could say that these people found their family of racists, but I don't think you want me to include that. So Space Babies is like the only one so far, besides presumably the first and last story. And Church, but if you kind of have to cheat to include Church in the season. I mean, Disney does, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Yes, so far, a season that delivers Space Babies and then a bunch of 8 to 10 out of 10s. That's a good season. That's probably like an 8 point something out of 10. Especially, I've said it before, but like, at least personally, the past like 7 years of Doctor Who, I will take an 8. I'll take a 7 out of 10. Like, we've come back, but it is disappointing that there's nothing.
Yeah.
What a lot of people have said is it feels like Russell T Davies and Stephen Moffat, so far the only writers this season. Moffat did Boom, everything else is Davies. The next episode is not, but then the other ones are Davies. It's a bunch of ideas that they wanted to do or thought of since they left the show and are now kind of like, yes, I can do it. From the meta, I know Russell T Davies has like the first 3 seasons planned out and packed. This was ages ago. I think before they even started filming season 1, someone pitched an episode. It's like, that's good. Like, I might have room in season 4, but they're all pretty tight. So I guess he's staying for 4 seasons. But so like maybe he had a lot of ideas he wanted to do, but it's a shame that he doesn't seem he can get that connective tissue.
Yeah.
And what I said is, in this episode, I went to Alex, like, I realized what this season is. If you ignore the fact the Doctor and the companion don't change, it feels like you're watching Doctor Who, but you're not actually like watching all the episodes. You've got like one of those top 10 Doctor Who episode lists, and you're doing that. So you've got a lot of good episodes, but there's absolutely nothing connecting them. It's and I think as a series of television, you need more, even if it's just a theme. Like if we look at old episodes, season 1 has like a story, right? We just watched that with Eccleston. There's a story. I don't really know if any other season you can say that about. Like the 11th Doctor ones, there are stories. I'm trying to find what hard drive is. Oh my, there it is, entertainment. The 11th Doctor stories do kind of have arcs, but you still have random adventures. Sorry, I went to my Big Finish folder on autopilot. There we go. Like season 5 of Doctor Who, which has got the huge story. It's the Pandorica story. It's the Big Bang. We introduce River. You introduce the companion. You meet River and the Angels. Vampires of Venice. Hungry Earth. Cold Blood. Vincent and the Doctor. The Lodger. Those are all pretty standalone. I didn't mention Amy's Choice specifically. But even then, I struggle with some of those, because Amy's Choice and Vincent and the Doctor, Amy's Choice is a huge moment for Amy. Defining early on is the conflict between her life with Rory and her life with the Doctor. Being pulled in those separate directions. Vincent and the Doctor, a fantastic standalone story of depression and mental illness generally. Also connects with the theme of Amy having just lost Rory for the first of many times. There's the moments where she's also going through it but doesn't know it. The Lodger, I swear, has even got some stuff somewhere in there about the Doctor. I might be thinking of the second one. But, this season, admittedly, it's longer by like 50%, but more than 50%. But half of the episodes, actually, how many stories? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There are 10 stories if you count the two-parters as one story. And to be fair, these new stories can play with their runtime a bit more than you could back in the day. That's one more story than this season in Church. But, well, this one doesn't really have connection other than presumably the beginning and the end. There's so much connective between what the companion is going through, and Ruby wants to meet her mom. Since Church, this has never come up.
Yeah.
You know, arguably 73 Yards is a bit with abandonment, but nowhere near to, like, Amy's Choice. I hope this is still a good conversation, having not remembered any of these episodes, I just realized.
Well, I mean, watching this season to me feels like when you used to watch TV in your favorite show, but you couldn't pick what order the episodes would come up in.
What, like just whatever was being aired?
Yeah, like, oh man, like when me and
you were not allowed to
you guys...
stay up to when the new episode came out.
Whenever we'd watch like as brothers on an old like regular show episodes or something, like the order was whoever was making the TV set list. That's the order they played in. It never played in the show order, so you didn't really get the overarching stuff. You just had episode bases. That's kind of what like this season feels like, even though we're going in order.
Well, I was going season 5, which, as I said, has a plot. Season 2, the 10th Doctor and Rose, which I guess is the one you're about to watch. So, you know, whoever. These are very unconnected episodes. Christmas Invasion, New Earth, like introduce the new Doctor, reestablish the relationship, fair. And these are also generally pretty. This is a weak season. Tooth and Claw, the werewolf, school reunion with Sarah Jane, Girl in the Fireplace, the Cybermen one, Idiot's Lantern, Impossible Planet, that's the Satan Pit one, Love and Monsters, which God has like nothing to do with the rest of the season. I like it though. Fear Her, and the Army of Ghosts Cybermen. The only real connection between any of these episodes is we meet the Cybermen and they come up later at the end. These are otherwise totally disconnected stories that also just happen to feature the same Doctor and companion. They're also not as good as the ones we're watching now, by and large. But they still have... The theme of Season 2 is about how Rose and the Doctor are essentially like adrenaline junkies. Forgive me if I mildly botch this theme because it has been ages. But it's about how, like, the Doctor and Rose are essentially playing with people's lives. They're not instigating these conflicts, you know, that they're arriving in bad situations, but they're just here to have fun as people are dying around them. It's the line Ricky gave, where it's like, "Is this the best day of my life?" It's like, thousands of people are still dying. Tooth and Claw, I'll be a bit generic because we are about to watch this season, but Tooth and Claw sets up Torchwood, which directly sets up like the events of the finale. The season 2 is a story about how this frivolousness with the adventures, especially after, I guess, the Doctor's learned how to be the Doctor now after Time War, but how his relationship with Rose and that frivolousness is destructive and ultimately leads in their separation. That's a through line that connects this whole season. And I think similar to this season, it's got like the same Doctor and companion. That's gonna like kind of mark it. You know, this is the Rose Tennant. That's a huge relationship, and this is the only season that has it. Which you might be surprised if you haven't watched it in a while. Yeah, that's one season. In 13 episodes spawned the Rose David Tennant thing, Rose 10th Doctor. I don't think you could get that with Shooty and Ruby, you know. To be fair, they don't have a romantic undertone at all. But that still holds season 2 together. And it's very subtle. Like, most people probably wouldn't notice it, but it's still something that's there and helps tie everything together. And that's kind of the point. I think you can do this with pretty much any other season. I mean, a lot of them are lame. Season 9, look, you got Heaven Sent, but the hybrid thing is like, that just gets mentioned every now and then. But even then, you've got a shielder. A shielder. Yeah, I said that weird. You've got, a shielder who, even if you don't like the plot line, that's a pretty consistent through line. A three-parter, of course, helps. Face the Raven, Heaven Sent, Hellbent. Is this the season of two-parters? Yeah, this is the season of two-parters. But there's all the connective tissue that this just doesn't have. And I'm okay with it. A lot of people are saying maybe it's not enough to bring new fans in. And, they'll be bounced off because it's just good episodes. It's not really a series. I think you're underestimating new fans. We're liking this episode despite that. People who've never seen Doctor Who can still go, yeah, that was a bunch of good episodes and like it. But if season 2 was like this, and God forbid season 3 as well, I'm gonna need more at some point. You can only coast on individual great 8 out of 8s for so long. And it's an interesting experiment too, because I've said before, you hear, I don't know if you get this with a show you like, but someone's like, I've never seen this, I don't want to maybe watch it all. What are the good episodes I should watch? And people will throw out like the famously great episodes, the beloved ones. But you really shouldn't, right? Like they'll throw out that great character arc one. Like they'll for this one, they'll say watch 73 Yards. It's amazing. I'm like, yeah, I like 73 Yards, but even that one where Ruby is so underdeveloped is better because we do know a bit about Ruby. We have seen them. We connect with the character, and I say a lot that these 10 out of 10 great episodes, a big part of what makes them so great is the 8 out of 10s. And even like the random filler that lets us connect with the characters and know them so that when you like shoot their dad in the face, it means something, Yeah,
100%.
This is like the only time I can think of where they go, okay, but what if the show didn't have those? What if we just give you our like 10 out of 10s? And I mean, to be fair, it's working better than I thought. But all these episodes would still be better if in between there was a random one that wasn't great, but you got to explore your character a bit. Yeah. And I can really only stay on that for so long. Like season 2, I'd be disappointed if it was more of this. I'd like it, not much, just a little something. Yeah. That's not superficial, like just saying Bad Wolf all the time, The theme of season 1 is not that we said Bad Wolf. It is the Doctor overcoming his trauma from the war and like Rose in that connection. It's all that stuff. But you get your one. You've brought us good Doctor Who. You've successfully stopped us from being canceled. Like, go a year and a half ago, and you've got the showrunner writing an episode that he genuinely believes may be the last ever episode of Doctor Who. You've really, congrats, you turned things around. Now you gotta do good. Yeah. I like part of the show. You might have to start watching this one. Yeah, this is a good jumping on point. It's literally called season 1. Go watch Church, go through the series. I'd recommend Doctor Who, believe it or not. You might have to start watching one, yeah. You just want to know, did you watch it with your wife? Yes, I watched these episodes with my wife like an hour after they come home. They come home, an hour after they come out, which is like when my wife gets home. And then I usually watch them just before the stream to take notes. I've done that every time so far, except of course Church, which I think I did that live stream like the day after it came out. I don't know. Anything left to say, Dot and Bubble, on this season, on everything?
I am excited. The closer we get to it all making sense, assuming it will.
So actually, I believe list of Doctor. That's not what I wanted to Google. I believe it's been confirmed that the final 2 episodes are a 2-parter. Even if it hasn't, that's pretty standard. I mean, actually, yeah, I'm looking at Wikipedia, and it lists the stories, like, because classic Doctor Who was multi-parts. And the last two are listed as 311A and B, so it's a two-parter. Also, episode 7 is The Legend of Ruby Sunday, which sounds like the ending. So the next episode, Rogue, written by Kate Herron and Bryony Redman. I believe one of them did stuff for Loki, which I've heard does a lot of cool time travel stuff. It's the last quote-unquote normal episode of Doctor Who. I say that because Space Babies is the only normal episode. That's the other weird thing of this season, is everything subverts the expectations of Doctor Who. And I liked the Doctor. I even talked to Alex early on in the opening scene. It'd be like, bets on if this entire episode is from the perspective of, like, the Doctor and Ruby are in the bubble and we're watching them. It's fun, but it's so weird, especially for season 1, that we really don't have those standard adventures. And I think that's part of what's hurting, the development and the kind of characterization of Ruby. And honestly, even the Doctor. The Doctor's full of personality, but I really struggle to define him. If I were to, like, go over all the other Doctors quickly, I can kind of say something, but 15, I'm really struggling.
Yeah. And
yes, he's new, but at this point, I feel like I had a sense of the other Doctors 6, 7 episodes in. Because bear in mind, Church, and then he was in The Giggle. There's things I could say, but maybe he's just too different. Not in a bad sense, but that's hard to be like, this is the one thing. He cries, but that does sound a little on the negative side. But there was something, before I wrapped it up, I remembered just now. As I'm looking, I do have the UK viewership in millions. Church was 7.49. What is this, actually? Exactly. I don't know what these ratings are. They are not the television broadcast, because I know what those numbers were, and these are higher. I don't know if they're first day or 7 week, but these definitely are not Disney Plus. But really, these only have meaning relative to each other. Church on Ruby Road says 7.49 from the UK viewers in millions. Which Christmas is, by the way, those are always heavy hitters. It's a big thing in the UK. And I want to preface this because Space Babies is 4.01, which sounds like a big drop. But let me scroll up a ways. You've got A Christmas Carol is 12 million, and then the next episode is 8.8. So, that's always a drop. But from Space Babies to Devil's Cord, you remember they released simultaneously. 3.91 to Boom, 3.58. We're dropping off, which always happens, but not a lot. There's 500,000 viewers between Space Babies and Boom. Is a loss. Which, bear in mind, could also mean they go watched on, like, iPlayer or something. Or they're just watching it later. Or, like, our parents are going to watch it, but they want to wait till it's all done. Because they want to binge it, which, fair. But I don't have the others. That's all it says. So I have the IMDb ratings of all of the episodes. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if I could find that link? It is that one. It's blurred for some reason. Oh, it's a spoiler on Reddit. That's why. Wouldn't it be fun if we compare that to what we've written?
Exactly the same.
Because what are we? I think we're getting a good balance. I know it's not. I've seen them. We're getting a good balance because you and I are generally pretty similar. This is our biggest divergence of 2.3. I'm a mega fan. You're a fan. You just are like an amnesiac fan. It's been a long while. But Alex is really, they're here for not really the sort of, they're here for Space Babies, they're here for camp. They did give it a 7. But, that's letting us average out really good. I love the average for every episode except this one. someone did. But even Boom, like, which was so 6.9, 9.3, and 10. I really like that 8.7 average. Because the average feels like, how does everyone feel about this episode? I know you can't see this because I want the reveal. Church on Ruby Road. Alex was a not. Do you want? I'll just give the average. We gave Church on Ruby Road a 7.3. Right. It was good, but it's not too special. Maybe that's a little low, but I certainly at the time I would have felt. So bear in mind, we did rate this when we did Space Babies. We'd seen Church like a week ago. So we need to schedule another watch along. You still need to watch Invasion of the Dinosaurs. We were 7.3. IMDb is 6.9. Just shy of a 7. Which, that's close. That's 0.4. Bear in mind this is IMDb, so this is the big polls. If you want to be pessimistic, you could say that that's brought down by people who don't like The Doctor's Black, but also musicals are controversial, right?
Yeah.
Dad didn't like the Goblin Song. 6.9 is like everybody with a song and dance number. Yeah, that's yeah. Space Babies. We gave a 5.8341. By which I mean I was 5, you were 5, and then Alex was also here. The fan base, 5.3. Well, not the fan base. This is everyone, because it's IMDb. But this is everyone who felt the need to go write a review, which is always going to skew 10 and 1. Because the 5.3, yes, it's a middle episode. It's like it works, which is why the 0.3 comes from, but it is a middle episode of Doctor Who.
So far, I'm on board with these.
Yeah, well, you can see. Well, here's the big one. Devil's Cord, we averaged an 8. 8.5, 7.5, 8, which is Alex, you, and me. IMDb is a 6.4.
Wow.
Which, again, I realized, oh yeah, it's a musical. So this is the one I think I disagree with the most on IMDb. But look, they are controversial, and they didn't do much with the musical. Star Trek's musical won some people over because it did a musical right. But this, it wasn't just musical for the sake of musical, but also those last 5 minutes. Like, that is the last thing in your mind, is the 5 minutes of, that. Some people have also say, if you want to be pessimistic, that it had a drag queen as a main villain. But I've also seen most people love Jinx Monsoon's performance. I loved it. But yes, it is over the top. It is rather campy, and it's not for everyone. So I think this is contributing to the 6.4. If it wasn't a musical, probably about what Church got. If you cut out those 5 minutes, it's like a 7.1 on average or something. Boom. We gave it an 8.7. Oh yeah, this was like the best episode of Doctor Who in 7 years. I saw that a lot. 7 years ago was the 12th Doctor's Regeneration, which admittedly was a good one. And just a season before that, you have the best episode of Doctor Who ever. I'm really gonna hype that up. You're gonna get there and be like, well, it was fine. It was good. Yeah. That one I'm actually planning when we get to. I'm gonna tell you to go watch it on your own, and then we're gonna watch it on stream. Because I'm like, no, that one I'll say that's contested. Best episode of Doctor Who, but most people won't really fight you on it. We gave it a 8.7, which is, being pulled in a lot. It's not a 10, but I like the 8.7. They gave it an 8.1 IMDb, which is interesting.
I'd give it more. Yeah, I'd give it more.
I mean, yeah, I'd give it a bit more, but it's not like, oh my god, 8.1.
Yeah.
It's in the range. 37 yards. Ooh, we did 8.3. They did 8.4. So that's like, that's especially on average, because a lot of people it's a 10. Good chunk it's a 1. but it's somewhere in there, you know.
Yeah.
Some more things would be explained. Yeah, like a mid-8. But it's worth noting, right? We definitely are starting weaker. And I think basically everyone is going to tell you that this has gotten better as time goes on. Not really what you want to, like, win people over again. But hey, we did get there. You know, we're getting there.
Yeah.
But so 6.9, 5.3, 6.4, then 8, 8. IMDb. So it's working. I mean, or like all those people who rated low dropped off, you know, so the average went up. That's also a possibility. I'm actually getting IMDb up properly now, because they've probably got the last ones. Dot and Bubble. So again, newer, but it's been a few days. Oh, look it. We gave it a 7.6. IMDb is currently sitting at a 7.5. Yeah. So you actually really brought us closer to the average. Here's the question, though. That is the first one that directly dealt with race. So I would be curious if there's, like, comments. User reviews, brilliant. 37 reviews, 9 out of 10. Black Mirror-esque, I've heard that. It's apparently like a Black Mirror episode. A rare exception, 8 out of 10. I'm skimming. I guess I'd want to see. There's like a 4. Please aim at grown-ups. So 6. Black Mirror, fantastic. Yeah, a few people didn't really gel. What? That's a 5 out of 10. This episode is horrendous. 5 out of 10. I mean, the plot was just all over. Oh yeah, the plot was, you know. So they're complaining that they made Lindy so heartless they didn't care what happened to her, but literally Black Mirror, but Russell T Davies fumbled the ending. That I haven't seen this Black Mirror episode, but I'm aware they do this sort of thing where they, like, kind of take these concepts to an extreme and show us the world in there. But yeah, we're pretty in line. We're a little higher, but I mean, we stream Doctor Who. We're probably supposed to be higher. Yeah. Some would tell you we're supposed to be lower, you know? I mean, apparently it's really hard to find a Doctor Who YouTuber who hasn't complained that the Doctor has been a woman and then black. Or just, I guess, kind of negative about the whole thing. So hopefully you can come here for that. I kind of want to always comment myself on the Reddit, but it's like, I can't just do that, you know? Because also they want something positive. I'm just like, I do nitpick, you know?
Yeah.
You come here if you want to love Doctor Who, but you also, like, really hate that it scrolls up when they go down the alphabet. That's what I am. I'm the one who loves Doctor Who, but God, you got to get that off your chest, you know, so you can give it a 10. We got to talk about how, in order to love Heaven Sent, you first have to acknowledge that on the first time, the Doctor was definitely naked, and don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
What?
Yeah, you'll get that.
What?
If you think about Heaven Sent, it kind of breaks down, but no, absolutely, the Doctor spent a good long while absolutely naked, and that's how Heaven Sent can work. Don't let we'll get there. You'll watch it and it'll happen. You'll be like, how did he get the? Oh yeah, I see now. I see. I know the showrunner said differently, but look, J.K. Rowling has said a lot of stuff that Harry Potter fans just ignore. So, you know, I'm sorry, Moffat. I realize what I just did to you, Stephen Moffat. You didn't deserve that comparison, but you know, you are wrong about this.
Oh, I'm so intrigued.
This is what they come for, right? The ramble, 2.5 hours. How the heck is this our long one? Well, I guess we stopped talking about the episode like an hour and a half ago. That's what streamers want, right? You want me to just be live all the time and just, you know what? Honestly, there's enough Doctor Who. There's enough Doctor Who. I could probably literally just be live like 24/7, just like watching and talking. Like, what do we want to do next, guys? It's like, oh, you want to do Castrovolva? Yeah, all right. Let's go watch Castrovolva live. And that's what we do. You know?
Yeah.
I think we got wrapped up. Rogue, we're going to like fancy times. The Doctor and Ruby wear a great outfit. That's all I know. I love not
Well,
knowing.
there is.
I
Yeah.
rarely get that with new shows. I guess I haven't really known where Discovery is going to go, but I didn't watch the trailer at all, which I think is really helping. Because there's some... Oh, you know what? I think there's a spoiler zone I want to talk about from Boom that you left before I could do. There's an intriguing, and I don't know why. But do you want to know? Spoiler zone? This is for season 2/15/41. This is for the next season of Doctor Who, right?
Okay.
So you're intrigued. You want to know?
Mm-hmm.
Everyone, we're gonna do this and then leave, so you can go. But you know, I don't remember her name. The lady from Boom who like came to the crater. You know that lady. Monday. How? I go over this every time. Like how? How?
I don't know.
I think it's Monday technically. That actress is the next companion.
Really?
That is intriguing. I think we know the companion's name. I don't know it. There's a lot I've been avoiding spoilers. It's not Mundy. I'm like pretty sure. Also, by the way, I'm like 99% sure that's actress, but I technically haven't looked at the leaks. So, but I know it's a black woman. And I think that's the only one in Boom who I know that actress was in. But that's intriguing. So it's possible, which by the way, they filmed these 2 seasons back to back. So I guess it's not that they found someone to play Mundy and they went, "You're great. You want to do the companion next time?" Which is, I mean, the 6th Doctor plays like a random guard in a 5th Doctor story before he's the 6th Doctor. Like it's happened. Amy Pond was someone in Pompeii. The 12th Doctor was someone in Pompeii. That's a weirdly future predicting episode, the Pompeii one. But that's an interesting, that's got to be something. I think the fan base kind of thinks there's a thing there that's gonna happen. This is did you come for this commentary, right? You don't want to go to Reddit. You don't want to see the spoilers, but you kind of want to know,
You're my filter, yeah.
Oh my god, I have to go find someone to fit a costume later. Okay, bye. That's oddly specific. But yeah, I'm actually literally more intrigued by the next companion than I am Ruby Sunday.
Oh, it's brutal.
I won't tell you if Ruby and the new person are the companion or not. So I will just leave that open and ambiguous. We do know some details about whether or not, like the extent to which Ruby is in next season, which could be 0, could be 100, could be, a bit.
Yeah.
So, we'll leave that open. But, yeah, that's an interesting one. We'll have to watch Boom again before season 15. Oh, no.
I do remember liking the character there.
They were good, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what else really struck me? Sorry, I know I said we were going to leave. But 73 Yards was apparently Melly Gibson's first episode. That was the first episode they did as Ruby, which is a difficult one. But, like, they nailed it. And someone else pointed out to me, they were probably, like, 18 when they filmed that episode. They're, I think, 20 now. They played someone, like, 40 years older than them, and I bought it. And, like, that's not easy to do. I know my wife had some problems with how they aged her, but I was like, oh, yeah, they got a future, they've got a future there, because that's a hard episode. They are the focus. Ruby is that episode. And there was not a moment where I went, this is the first,
Yeah.
I know, like, the 11th Doctor's first one. You won't notice it, but when you know it's the first, you're kind of like, yeah, they do a good job, but, he hasn't quite, he's still finalizing the character. But, dang. Like, that's your resume right there. That's your resume. It's just hand 73 yards and be like, I did this one. Me. It was my first one. I assume they'd done acting before. I don't know. Not a lot. I don't think they were anything like this is their biggest role, I'm sure. 'Cause
Yeah.
I would have heard. You know, I know that Shooty Gadwa did Sex Education. The only reason I know Sex Education is the moment they announced the casting, it was Shooty Gadwa from Sex Education and Barbie afterwards.
Oh yeah.
That's a weird one. I still haven't seen that, but I wanted to see Barbie specifically because it had the Doctor in it, and I was like, that's kind of funny. It's like, I don't know. It's like, it was like the Doctor plays Ken in this before you knew it was the Doctor. Because I don't see the Doctors in anything. I've seen David Tennant as Barty Crouch Jr. and like the Doctor, and that's it. Yes, that is actually true. That's not an exaggeration.
My first meeting of Shooty was sex ed.
I actually saw a clip of him. He's in some like super colorful shirt, and he's talking about like how everyone just has sex all the time or something. He's like walking with a friend in the park. You might know the scene. He's like, everyone's either like thinking about shagging, has shagged, like, or is shagging someone. But the reason I saw the clip is someone edited the like Ninth Doctor music, like ooh, 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 so as if it was like some big important speech, and they were like, look at how well this works, and it's the Doctor talking about sex. And I was like, you know what, this works really well. Is like, I couldn't find that clip. It was just on like Twitter or something. That's how old it was. I was using Twitter, but
Oh wow.
That was the moment I was like, oh yeah, you know, that guy is that's gonna be good. But also that really shouldn't work as well as it does that clip. But yeah, that's I technically have seen Shooty Gadwa briefly as Eric, I think is his name, right? Yeah. But we finally have to wrap it up. We did tell the people we wouldn't talk about it. We gotta schedule a time for you to watch Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
The beautiful episode.
Yeah, I honestly don't remember if it's any good at all.
Yeah.
And it's got like a
Makes it
big
funny.
twist for the whole third Doctor era. So, you know, if you ever rewatch, it'll be a weird one. It's a 6-parter, so God, I hope it's at least fun. For like, there could be dinosaurs in just the last one. I just want to prep you. I do not remember at all.
No, it's gonna be big. It's gonna be the whole thing.
It's 6 parts. I would imagine maybe like a handful of dinosaur scenes. You know, let's just set your expectations. It was you've seen the budget they had.
It was beautiful.
But but it's not like 6 episodes of that. You know. But anyway, yeah. I'm going to say, as I delete my notes, and oh god, I still need to plan that 10th Doctor thumbnail. We want it to look good. Thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.
Bye bye.
You can do that bye-bye like with me.